And thank you so much for being with us. It's an important day for us.
It's an important date for me too, as well, to be part of this amazing event. So thank you for the invitation.
Thank you. It's all Vikas's effort.
Katia, I'll introduce one more guest from UPA, Madam Pranati Panda. Madam is from National Institute of Education Planning and Administration from National Government. So Pranati Panda, Madam, she is our chief guest today, Katia from Direct Global Educator. So I think you can speak each other. I think.
We definitely need to talk.
Yeah. Can you zoom Rupali or Pranati Madam? Yeah.
Over to you, Nagesh.
Yes. Pranati Madam, you can speak to Katia before starting our program. 2-3 minutes. I think 2 minutes we'll start the program.
Hi, Katia. I'm Pranati. I'm from National Institute of Education Planning and Administration. I have been working very closely with the Save the Children. And we had organized a very pan-Indian European Union funded study in collaboration with Save the Children. And I have been working in the safety, health, and well-being of children as well. And just to share with you that there is a national program on school standard and evaluation, how schools are performing and how all these things are contributing towards the learning enhancement of the children. So this is also a national program which I am leading on behalf of Government of India, and NIPA is giving all support for implementation of this program. And 1.55 million schools are participating in this program. Yeah.
This is fantastic. I would love to talk to you after the call.
Yes, yes. And it's very nice, the kind of initiative taken by Vikas, Nagesh, and all these people. It's a very, very good initiative.
Congratulations, fantastic. 1.5 million schools is a lot. And I would love,
yes.
I would love to talk to you more about how can we work together, collaborate, because definitely the safety and well-being of children is critical. Specifically now under COVID.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you, ma'am. Welcome, ma'am. And I'll check Dr. Revati, madam. Dr. Shivappa from Mysore University. Are you there, sir? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Welcome, sir. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ananda. Yeah. And Dr. Behraji from RIE, Odisha. Are you there, sir?
Yes, very good afternoon to all of you.
Yeah, welcome, sir.
Lakshmindar Behera from Regional Institute of Education, Bhubaneswar, a constituent unit of NCERT. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Yes, Rupali, I think start program. So because now time is almost 4 o'clock. 4. Yeah.
Please. Yeah, we can start now, Nagesh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, good evening, everyone, and welcome to all guests from national institutes and from states in South India. It's very, very important program, and we are going to discuss on how we can ensure the learning continuity of children during pandemic and during emergencies like this COVID or maybe in any other emergency. And welcome to all the guests and dignitaries from across this India. There are representatives from Pranati Madam, and also Katia of she's global director. She's also joined us as chief guest, and also from representatives from universities and research organizations, and also from universities. And there are representatives from non-governmental organizations, and there are representation from teacher ML and also teacher communities across the South India. Of course, there are few representations from across the country. So welcome everyone, and this is very, very important program to discuss strategies and key maybe key strategies to work on the ensuring the learning continuity among children. That is one, and this is a 100 days action of the Save Our Education agenda, which is launched globally. Of course, today is we are initiating this journey. So yeah, on this occasion, I think we welcome everybody to take part, to join hands to strengthen the campaign, the ensuring learning, of course, to join the or to advocate or to provide some strategies and suggestions to the governments to work on maybe I think various appropriate measures for ensuring children education. So this is the objective of the program, and welcome once again all the dignitaries and members of Save the Children family, and also special welcome to the child champions, those are going to talk about their experience during pandemic, how the children after the school closure, how they are managing learning, and how the parents are really, really engaging children with their with their efforts by bringing teaching learning materials, bringing knowledge from outside, conducting various extra curricular activities, and a lot of things are really, really to strengthening children education, to bridge the gap from almost 15 months due to this COVID. So now I request Vikas ji to set the context for today's program, and I think other government officials from state governments, Department of Education, and and also the other dignitaries, I think joining now. I think I'm getting messages, so I'll check with them, and please set a context, Vikasi. Over to you, Vikasi, now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Nagesh. Good evening, everybody, and good morning, Katya. It's indeed a good honor and a pleasure to have you all here today, especially as a mark and a solidarity to ensure that the child's right to education is realized. We all know that the pandemic is leaving a pronounced footprint at multiple levels and impacting lives and livelihoods across the world, and more so especially children who are totally caught up in the web of circumstances. One, the lockdowns have actually resulted in the closure of schools. At the same time, the kind of restrictions that are there for movement of people have actually put them in a closed encounter. This has clipped their wings, and which at the same time has also compromised their right to education. And we know that through various studies that more than 360 million children were impacted due to the closure of schools in India especially, and a lot more across the world. And today, this particular meeting is a multi-stakeholder consultation where we have got people from across India, cut across various government departments, civil society, teachers unions, and representations like NCERT and NUPA, and state bodies and commissioners and directors who are going to join us. All these people are really welcome them, because your presence here also demonstrates how we as a collective wisdom can evolve and co-create certain initiatives to continue education in spite of the pandemic times. So this campaign of Save the Children by name may be an organization, but Save the Children is a spirit of solidarity. Save the Children is also a value, a commitment wherein everybody's responsibility is there. So to save the children, we have to also save rights. And this consultation brings in people from across to share notes, to share specifically some strategies, initiatives that can be useful, specifically through the prism of education. And how do we build innovative methods so that the digital divide is actually is addressed. And the digital divide is also the reason why there is inequality in education currently. Same time, a lot of children are also coming online, which opens up newer challenges for them, exposing them to the unknown and the unseen enemy on the other side, the perpetrators of cybercrime. So this campaign looks at comprehensively from the education as well as child protection lens. So we do have with us dignitaries from across who will be sharing their thoughts. And I also request to come out with some practical ideas that can help. And the special guests today are our children. They are actually going to speak for their own rights. They will talk about their concerns. And it is we as adults, it is our moral duty and responsibility to ensure that those rights are realized. So how do we evolve certain methods, innovations, programs, initiatives at multiple levels, be it government, civil society, corporates, media? It doesn't matter, because it's now going to be everybody's responsibilities to ensure the continuum of education, so that the campaign of Save Our Education is specifically aimed to bring all of us together. I'm glad that we have 100 plus participants who are here, and we're also telecasting this live so that we reach a wider audience and get more voice to ensure solidarity for the rights of the children, especially right to education. Thank you very much, Nagesh. And I welcome you all once again for this very important consultation.
Yeah, thank you, Vikasji, for setting tone for the today's program. It's very, very important program. And now I request Kamal Gaur, Deputy Director, Education, Save the Children India, to talk about to give an overview on 100 days of action and Save Education agenda. So I request Kamalji. Kamalji, over to you, please. Thank you.
Kamal, you're on mute.
Thank you. So I said namaskar, and thank you so much for collaborating with Save the Children in driving the learning agenda for our children. As Vikas said, Save the Children is a global movement, and little over 100 countries in this movement have joined hands to demonstrate and advocate for children's right to education, and especially this right to be exercised during emergency. Since I have always worked in the education area. For me, and I think for most of us, it looks like education is like that magic armor that protects children from poverty, violence, abuse, and help them laugh, learn, play, grow, and take certain decisions. We can't afford to lose learning to COVID. I mean, that's the agenda which this 100 days of action is driving. Together, we should we should advocate for ensuring learning continuity for our children so that we can save education and protect a generation. Now the question as well as the challenge is that how do we keep learning alive and ensure learning continuity for the class of 2021? And we have already seen that class of 2022 has already suffered, but we had this kind of hope, okay, things will become better, things will change. And now what has happened is that we are looking at third wave, fourth wave, and especially the third wave, which is going to be a little critical for our children. So the ensuring now the traditional ways have gone. I mean, we are not able to work. And I do understand we all are facing that unprecedented kind of education emergency. And to just look at it, our children have lost almost little over 1/10 of their schooling years. And this is for all 320 million children who are affected from closures. And we have reports saying that the third wave will be the hardest on children. And children with whom we work have told us that they are missing schools, they're missing teaching, learning, they are missing friends, they are missing, their dreams. They're tired of and fatigued of having no work and homework. Nobody to check their homework, nobody to question them, nobody to even monitor, how they are doing in school, or how are they learning. So I think there are multiple challenges as an education professional we hear about. And they are also uncertain about anything and everything. They face the threat of COVID-19 stealing a golden opportunity to learn. And the learning lost due to COVID is indisputable. We all know about it. But just to quote and just to share, a recent research reveals that not only have students missed out on the past year due to schools remain closed, they've also forgotten what they had learned in the months prior to the lockdown. So it's not just about the future learning opportunity, but it is also about stopping that erosion of learning that has happened. And we all know across the globe, especially in countries like India, we were going through learning crisis, and it has doubled, tripled, 4 times, 10 times, I don't know how many times it has troubled us. So and we also understand that at this point of time, our system is also overburdened. Our Anganwadi workers, our teachers, they are doing a lot of tasks. They are there on the field. They are providing door-to-door services for more than a year round, and there is some sort of fatigue which has set in. They are without compensation or any COVID insurance. Hundreds of teachers died on election duty during that second wave surge. Save the Children, along with children's parents and teachers, Anganwadi workers, have gone to great lengths to keep learning alive. Our Gulmohar curriculum is a live example of that. We are doing everything we can do to protect the children who need support, and we are urging also to different donors, funding organization for resources. But we can't do this alone. It's not possible. So through 100 days of action, what we are saying, learning continuity is possible and needs to be prioritized. We are promoting it and working for it to ensure that children, especially girls, learn during these closures and return to our Anganwadi centers and school. And we are supporting government, and we wish to support government in doing the same. On a regular basis, we are prioritizing through this campaign well-being of children and caregivers, teachers and Anganwadi workers during this emergency and even post this emergency. So even during the recovery phase, and so that we can curtail, we can limit these school closing procedures. So what we are also doing is we are saying that keeping learning facilities safe so that our children return to school once the things are settled. And to do this during this 100 of days of action, what are we going to do? We are going to seek out and look for support from all our stakeholders. What we are going to do is we are going to reach out to children through our happy boxes. And we have done that. Over 30,000 self-learning kits which have gone to children. During this 100 days of action, we will add more numbers to our resource kits so that children, at least when they are at home, they are engaged. They continue to learn through these self-learning kits. And these self-learning kits are separate for 3 to 6 years old and 6 to 14 years old. What does it have? It has storybooks, it has play material, it has books for their classes, it has drawing material, it has picture books. So it is a box which we are looking at, something like a magic box for children with which they can work at home. What we are doing is telling stories by children, stories by teachers, stories by Anganwadi workers, stories by administrators. And what we are saying is telling stories, reading stories, playing, with children. It will support us in the continuity of learning. What we are also saying is that 100 days of action. So we are saying 60 days and 60 stories, and these stories come in different languages: Hindi, Marathi, English, Bengali, Odia, Telugu, Kannada. So what we are saying is, and we are also supporting teachers and education administrators in keeping learning alive through our pedagogical forums, our teachers forum. So this is the forum. During these 100 days, we want to amplify our appeals, and we want that children's right to education is prioritized and drive, especially during emergencies. So we are driving this agenda of education in emergency needs to be continued. What we are prioritizing, and we need your support on this, is continuity of learning, ensure teachers and Anganwadi workers and helpers well-being. We also want that minimize use of schools and other educational institutions for any other public health intervention. We want psychosocial care and well-being support for our children, for our parents, for our teachers, Anganwadi workers. Prioritize education for children who have lost parents to COVID. These are certain things which we would like to drive during these 100 days of action. And not only just drive, but demonstrate. So looking forward to all out support of all of you in driving our 100 days of action for all boys and girls, and especially the most marginalized, like girls, children in street situation, children who have lost their parents to COVID, children who are on move, children who move with their parents from one location to another. So this is an appeal. This is an appeal for support, that please support us in our 100 days of action, which is demonstration and advocacy for right to education during emergencies. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening to me and giving me that time. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Kamalji, given very, very important the insights and also the action points which is inbuilt with our action agenda. Thank you so much. And then there are, I think, few members are unable to admit in this program, because I think the limit is restricted to 100. But I think Anthony Sebastian, SCPCR chairperson, Karnataka, and J. Srinivas Rao Garu is the chairperson, Telangana, also joined with us. I think there are members only attending this program through YouTube. Yeah. So thank you, Kamalji, once again. Then I request now Rupali to facilitate two important points before inviting our chief guest, Ketia Amela Dentos. Maybe I may be pronouncing wrongly. Please correct me. Yes, I'll pronounce as Katia. She is the Director, Global Educator, Center of Excellence, Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and Latin America and Caribbean and Basila Federal District, Brazil. So, yeah, thank you. And now we are going to launch 100 days action with the flyer, and this indicates our journey for 100 days with various activities. Yeah, and now I request Rupali to facilitate the release of flyer for 100 days of action. Over to you, Rupali.
Yes. Thank you,
Please.
Nagesh, and
Yeah.
thanks a lot, Kamal, for setting the context and talking about the 100 days campaign that we all are going to do together. And it is so exciting, and we all are in this together, and we have not given up our hope. And these happy boxes concept, we're telling the stories. So these are some of the actions, those who are listening to us, we are going to demonstrate across the country, and we will show the power of solidarity, where we can continue the learning environment for the children and also make allow participation not just only from the children but also from parents, teachers, educators, anganwadi workers, even health workers. Really appreciate for making this moment. It's a very special with us, and this entire time was conceptualized based on the work that we have been doing over a year, being in the pandemic situations, and what we have come up with is purely need based during this pandemic situation. With your permissions and our chief guest permissions, we will now launch the campaign formally, and thank you to all our senior officials from various parts of the state joining us and making this moment a big memory for all of us. So here is the flyer where we are launching the campaign. Just give me a moment, please. So we call it is a 100 days campaign, but it's going to be 100 days and beyond. We will continue our actions. So with this note, over to you, Nagesh, for our next proceeding.
Yeah, thank you, Rupali, for facilitating the release of flyer. And now, yeah, please claps because this journey beyond 100 days, because I think we have to ensure the quality learning for all the children as the mandated at the RTE Act 2009. Yes. And now, I request Mr. Vikas Gora, our Deputy Director, to introduce our chief guest so that we can proceed to program schedule. Yeah, over to you, Vikasji, please. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Nagesh. I mean, I take it's a distinct honor and privilege to welcome my good friend, as well as an international expert in the field of child rights, Katia Dantas. She has been the Director, Center for Excellence, International Center for Missing and Exploited Children for Latin America and Caribbean in Brazil. So she is joining from Brazil right now. And Katia brings with her decades of experience, specifically working in Latin America and Caribbean region on issues that impact children, and instrumental in raising public awareness, legislative change, and implementing new initiatives that extensively cover collaborative action bringing regional bodies, government representatives, INGOs. She has traveled extensively all over the world. And we also share the similar scholarship of the Rotary Peace Fellowship. So she studied in Duke and North Carolina while I was at the University of Queensland, Australia. Katya is trained and majorly on issues of topics related to child abduction and missing children, how to address sexual exploitation issues, and in-person and online abuse. So Katya had received numerous honors and served on the Brazilian Federal Police Academy research group on cyber crimes. She earned her master's in international development policy from Duke University, and also brings a deep cultural, legislative, and experiential knowledge on training participants. So she looks at both the angles of education as well as child protection, how they're intertwined. And in the current pandemic situation, both of them have become the victims of circumstances. So with years of her experience, we really were very keen to bring her on board, so that we share notes together, and also plan how we can bring innovative methods in India as well. So it's a good cross-learning experience we are looking forward for. Thank you very much, Katya, once again, and we look forward for your message. Over to you, Katya.
Thank you so much, because it's amazing, and it's a great opportunity for us at the International Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and particularly for me. So the invitation that came from a dear friend, as you said, as well as an esteemed colleague, it's a great honor for me to be here. I wanted to start by thanking Save the Children for this incredible event. We are aware that education is critical, and it is a human right as well as a child's right. And it's sadly one that has been very impacted by COVID-19 pandemic. So over a year, the lives of many children have dramatically changed with the fast spreading of coronavirus all around the globe. And while it's safe to say that we're all under the same storm, we're definitely not all in the same boat. The measures to combat the fast spreading virus have included strict lockdowns, closures, which included also schools closures in many, many countries. And while some countries and governments were very quick in seeking methods to ensure that education continued to be sustained, be that through the implementation of remote education, be that through access to several platforms, still over 1 billion children are still at risk of falling behind. And while this number is from UNICEF, and while it is alarming, it's definitely not surprising, because even prior to the pandemic, children's learning was in crisis. Half of 10-year-olds across the world in middle and low-income countries were unable already to understand a simple written sentence. And more than 250 million children are out of school. So the pandemic has acted as a catalyst of those already existing inequities. It has been a catalyst to hidden school children, particularly in poorer settings, particularly hard. Sorry. And for more than 168 million children globally, the schools have been closed for a full year. 2/3 of those countries are in Latin America and Caribbean, the region I worked for over the last 10 years. Now I'm working globally. And what we see is that this Latin American schools affected 98 million school children. Furthermore, around 214 million children globally, that is 1 in 7 children globally, have missed more than 3/4 of their in-person learning. And the most vulnerable children and those unable to access remote learning are obviously at an increased risk of never returning to a classroom because of those conditions. And some of them are even forced to go into child marriage, early marriage, child labor, child sexual exploitation. And according to the latest data from UNESCO, more than 888 million children worldwide continue to face disruptions to their education due to the partial or full closures. Many of those children are unable to access those platforms, as Vika's very beautifully said, as a result of a digital divide that preceded the pandemic as well. Many of those world's children, particularly those in poorer settings, they do not have internet access. They don't have TVs. They don't have computers. They don't have mobile phones or even radios at home. And even those who have, and I'm not talking only about poor countries or developing countries, but in countries where you have higher income or middle income, you still have children that face the same issues. Maybe you have one computer for the whole family. Maybe you have only one cell phone for the whole family. And dividing the tasks between the needs for the parents to work and the needs for the children to study with single instruments have been one of the biggest challenges. Sorry. While 53% of the households globally are connected to the internet, the share of students with no internet access at home varies from about 15% in Western Europe and North America to as high as 80% in sub-Saharan Africa. In Latin America, a large number of children are leaving now schools because either they can't access the resources or they need to start working to provide at home for the family. And Latin America is definitely not alone. What UNICEF has done a study, and what their findings include is that more than 90% of the countries have adopted digital and our broadcast remote learning policies, but 60% only have done so for pre-primary education. Those are children in need of socialization, in need of several tools to really grow to their full potential. 31% of school children worldwide, about 463 million children, cannot be reached by those internet or broadcast internet-based remote learning policies, either because they don't have the technology assets at home or because they were not necessarily targeted by those adopted policies. And globally, 3 out of 4 students who cannot be reached by remote learning policies, they come from rural areas or some of the most poor settings in the countries that we are addressing. And in addition to missed education opportunities, school closures have a devastating consequence to the children's well-being and the learning process. Children all around the world are facing this loss in socialization, a very, very important aspect of learning. They're facing grieving processes from lost COVID. They're facing struggles within the household for added stress as a result of pandemic losses, as a result of losing jobs, as a result of economic conditions. And all of those losses, including also specifically the loss in social emotional learning opportunities, most of them being locked inside in the house with most of the conditions. What we see a lot is children being locked in very violent households or very detrimental areas for their own learning needs. And what we see is that children who are already vulnerable are at a higher level of vulnerability now, including children with special needs, because they are not having access to those therapies they need to really reach their full potential, to girls, and we are having a huge divide now, a huge loss now for the campaign that has been done on equality for rights, because a lot of those children, a lot of those girls are at a higher risk. And the majority of the school children worldwide rely on their schools in many cases as a place where they can interact with their peers safely, as a place where they can find and seek support from trusted adults, as a place where they can have access to health, immunization services, and even a nutritious meal. So the longer schools remain closed, the longer schools are cut off from those critical elements of childhood. Vulnerable children are at, as I said, is an even higher risk. Over 11 million girls may not go back to school. after the COVID pandemic. And this alarming number, as I said, not only addresses and threatens decades of work on making progress towards gender equality, but also puts girls around the world at risk for adolescent pregnancy, early and forced marriage, violence, and abuse. More broadly, the disruption and the stress caused by COVID-19 pandemic presents a significant risk for increased family violence, including child abuse, even in settings where this was not a reality. As a parent myself, I can say that the stresses of being joined together in the same household, with no support from schools in many situations, with the double or sometimes triple and sometimes even quadruple workforces, work journeys, have definitely placed a lot of abuse, a lot of burden over parents and over children. And the children, specifically younger ones, are facing higher levels of stress, depression, anger, and other related issues of mental health. And although another issue that we see is that the rates of reported abuse have declined, which is not to say that children are not being abused. It is just to say that the schools and the adults and the trusted adults around the child who would be able to spot this abuse and intervene properly are not there. The pandemic has reduced the contact with those mandated reporters. Public health organizations are claiming that a lot of as a result of the safety measures created by the pandemic, those workers, those social workers that were there to protect children are no longer available as they were. Specifically, and I have a child here that is participating on our event. Sorry about that. But particularly children, the lack of the social worker systems that were already really stretched thin before the pandemic are now at an even higher rate of lack of access to children. And specifically those families that were more vulnerable before, families that had some sort of abuse behavior before, they are now experiencing even more stress as a result of economic instability, unanticipated job loss, and other economic downturns really caused by the pandemic. And lockdowns are affecting developing countries a lot more than developed countries in more than one way. It is important to understand that those tensions from job losses, the hunger, poverty, and lack of access to trusted adults are significantly heightening the ability of children to learn. As Ramal was saying before, children are forgetting what they learned before. And part of this is a result of the stress added to them. The lack of a well-being in their own households is actually impacting their learning potential. A study in Hong Kong has shown, for instance, that reduction of income was significantly associated with severe and very severe cases of abuse against children, physical abuse against children. And so were job loss and large income reduction. Exposure to physical and partner violence, intimate partner violence between parents is also a very strong predictor of a lot of different types of maltreatments. And we know that one or more ACEs, 4 or more ACEs, which are adverse childhood experiences, they definitely add to a potential of increased depression in the future, increased lack of stability at home, increased loss opportunities in the future. And the COVID pandemic has severely added to this plate as a significant ACE. And to add to all of those child protection concerns, we know that children are now at a more higher rate for increased exploitation as well. In settings of economic struggles, children are being pushed to work in even more dire situations than before. Sorry about that. And a substantial portion of those abuses are committed and perpetrated by children, normally outside of the pandemic, by persons that are known to children, which are even stronger now that children are in close quarters with their own perpetrators and abusers in many situations. So the school closures are also preventing abuse to be discovered and harming the prevention of those children, the prevention efforts in taking care of those children. And also, just even more concerning is that schools were already not ready to deal with abuse and exploitation in schools. The many schools around the world still lie on several myths regarding child abuse. Many school members and many adults as a whole think that children lie about abuse, when we know that false accusations and false allegations amount to only 4% of cases, and most of them occurring during divorce settings. A lot of us as adults have the obligation, and I love that that is the focus of the Save the Children campaign. It's believing children. We need to start believing children, because if we work and start every action of ours by believing children and what they say, and that they are the experts on themselves, we are much better prepared to respond properly. But even now, countries that had a robust child protection practices, and I would like to name, for instance, the UK, the United Kingdom, that have statutory guidances that inform and let us know and dictate what schools need to do in order to protect children in education settings, are now coming a lot under scrutiny for several Good Samaritan pages that emerged. I don't know if you have heard of Everyone's Invited, which is a major movement in the UK related to peer-on-peer abuse in schools, to the lack of proper responses in many school settings across the UK. And this has spanned to other countries as well, with children constantly mentioning the horrific abuse they suffered in schools, as well as the poor response that led to this after this disclosure in schools. And this has also created already, Everyone's United happened in March, and this has created a ripple effect across the world already. We already see school children in Malaysia coming out, being brave in reporting the lack of effective action in schools. We also heard of many schools in Brazil, in Colombia, and other countries coming out and saying how poorly the school's practices are to keeping children safe. And even in Chennai, India, lately, that, if I'm not mistaken, last week, we had several instances of inappropriate sexual behavior from the part of a teacher that ended up in a Good Samaritan page on Twitter and other social media blogs, because children are in dire need of being heard. And we are still not heard, and children are still not heard. So considering all the severity of the situation of school children, a few really critical recommendations would come very in handy for countries. For those countries already vaccinating, it would be critical to start vaccinating teachers and school staff with a high priority at this point. However, we understand that the vaccination pace and the spread of new variants is really putting those actions in check. So we understand that this is going to be a movement for a while, with partial closures and or hybrid mode for a while in schools. As such, we need to be really creative as not relying to a single method of dissemination. Let's not rely only and solely on videos. Let's not rely only and solely on school books. Let's not rely only and solely at aiming at teacher. Let's include parents. Let's include other stakeholders. Let's include other media. Let's include other means of participation. Additionally, expanding access to the internet and other digital solutions for children all around the world, it's one key priority we should take now to reduce vulnerabilities. And combined with the subsidized free access to the internet and other methods of dissemination of digital solutions to the families, we urge countries to also develop child protection safety materials in the languages of the child of the country, so they understand how to navigate those systems safely and effectively. But also reaching out to the vulnerable families is critically important, is paramount at this point. Understanding the difficulties in balancing work and child rearing, plus helping children getting their education, achieving their education potential is critical. We understand many families that are doing this task at helping children are illiterate, posing even more challenges to helping those children thrive. So reaching out to families that were already vulnerable before the pandemic is paramount as well. And some innovative, we were talking about how difficult it is for some social workers and government agencies to really reach those families at a time of pandemic. But let's use those same technological solutions. Let's adopt some innovative methods to reaching out to those families. So schools that are talking to people, to children and to parents, make sure that the child's well-being and mental health are also evaluated and analyzed. Let's reach out to virtual home visits by government agencies. This has been done in England on the early onset of the pandemic with very critical success, very important successes. It is also important to use the social media and reach children. So use TikTok, Snapchat, and other solutions that children are now resorting to. So to bring messages to reduce the likelihood of them being exploited specifically online, as we understand the upsurge of the pandemic also came with an upsurge of online harm to children. Some professionals reported that some children, including and families, were actually readier to engage in a home setting, in a virtual connection, as opposed to going to a school and talking to the agency or to the school in question. Also, schools are once again a critical partner during and following the pandemic. As students return to their classrooms, they will definitely need a lot of support to readjust to the routine, to readjust and catch up on their learning. So mental health in this return to the classes is and should be a critical priority. And in the reopening plans for the schools, it's important that we provide a single unique support to children based on their needs. In particular, as I said, mental health and protection measures in schools are urgent. So those schools that did not have a child protection plan, that did not have a team prepared to take on any messages or any support to those children, are now even more needed. So for the schools who are closed, we highly recommend them creating the platforms, creating the structures to properly respond to mental health issues, to abuse, and to well-being of children. At the International Center for Missing and Exploited Children, we have an education portal with several tools for school on how to keep children safe in education. We highly recommend everyone. The website is called adportal.icmac.org. And once I finish speaking, I'll put the link on the chat so everyone can access it. And it is very, very important that schools start working on developing social emotional programs. There are a myriad of social emotional programs that can be easily adapted in many realities. Specifically now during the pandemic, to help them cope with potential losses to COVID, potential economic losses, and potential mental health issues that have emerged. Children who feel supported are the ones who will thrive in education. It is critical for us for schools to create internal policies on how to handle those disclosure properly, teaching the staff on how to react to any disclosures that come, that children bring to them. And specifically, it's important now, given the COVID pandemic, that that school members are handling trauma effectively. So having a trauma-informed care policy is critical at this point. It's specifically when we're talking about children who have experienced ACEs in childhood, that have experienced trauma, they're more likely to act out on certain behaviors at home, maybe causing peer-on-peer abuse. So it is critical that we create also policies for dealing with those peer-on-peer abuses, because in this instance, we have two victims, the one who harmed and the one who was harmed. It is important to create and apply codes of conduct throughout the school members, including staff, teachers, parents, as well as students. And it is critical that we start minimizing those toxic behaviors that have been fostering those movements that I mentioned across the globe. Also, having the burden of the decision on what to do in cases of abuse, in cases of trauma on a single person, usually the head, is extremely overwhelming. Thus, we strongly recommend schools creating internal response teams of multidisciplinary multidisciplinary nature. So we have more eyes on the case, we have more perspectives on the case, and we have more gender parity on the situation analysis, so we can properly and effectively respond to those issues. It is critical also to develop multiple pathways for reporting, because if specifically creating anonymized pathways for reporting, because in situations that was mentioned in the Everyone's United movement, in Malaysia, in Brazil, what we constantly hear is that they did not hear us. They did not act on what we brought to them. So it is important for us. And with that, I really want to thank you all for being here, for listening to me and to this beautiful initiative from Save the Children. And I would like to finish this by saying, the moment we start listening and believing what children really are saying is the moment we are acting as trusted adults, is the moment that we are being a part of the solution and not a part of the problem. So I would like to thank you all and remind us all that we are as trusted adults for someone. We are all trusted adults for someone. And as trusted adults, we all share the responsibility to protect children, to help children, and to let them thrive in education. Thank you very much, and apologies for the long discussion.
So thank you, Ketia. You really narrated very well the situation of the children and the role of parents and school management and other stakeholders. And you have mentioned about the child protection challenges besides to the education. If you look at the recent report in India, because during school days, there is only 7% or 8% is the children used to face child abuse. Now, if you look at the current situation, it's reached to 17%. So that is the alarming situation where children are away from the schools. So thank you very much. And I request Rupali to briefly summarize the key learnings from KTR's, I think, presentation. Please, over to you, Rupali.
Thank you, Nagesh. And really, Katya, really appreciate bringing the issues the entire globe is facing. We are also in a similar situation. Two major important points that we felt from the conversation is that, when we are talking about children issues, and good to see your daughters, and our best wishes and all the love to your daughters, and it's great to have her. If she wants to say something, we are here to listen. Because let's start from listening a child. If she wishes to say something. Hi. No, she doesn't. That's absolutely fine. But we should. Yeah. But it's good to see her on camera. And this is exactly, we have to create that space where we need to ask children to share, and we have to be listener. We have to believe in what children children, they have to say, and this is something from the whole conversation, what we realize that it's the same story which is happening somewhere. We have to believe in what children are saying and let the children voices to be heard. And our global campaign, 100 Days of Action, where we are creating this space where children can also voice out, not just only telling the problems, but they are also the best solution provider, because we are talking about the issues of the children. Let them also be part of the decision makings and give the solution to us. So thank you so very much. With challenges, we still look at many things with a lot of hope that we can manage the situation if we allow our children to speak up, to own up the responsibilities along with us and be part of the solution. Really appreciate for your insightful thought sharing with us. Over to you, Nani.
Yeah, thank you, Rupali. Now, another important section we are going to into, that is our child champions. There are 3 members are there, and also one parent is also going to talk about their experiences during pandemic. And the children we have selected, they are child champions from 4 states. And now I start with Karnataka. Harini from Karnataka, her age is 13 years. She's in 8th class now. She's explaining about her experience during pandemic. Yeah, I think I request Harini to speak from her camera. Harini, hello?
Yes. Hello.
Yes, Harini, you're there. Yeah, please. Over to you, Harini. Yeah. Thank you and welcome. Please, Harini.
Thank you.
Harini, if you can just put on your video.
Yeah. Hi, all. Very good morning, good evening to everyone. Myself, Harini from Jyotipura, Karnataka. Today, I'm going to talk a few words about current situation and school. The whole world has come to a standstill. The reason is the pandemic COVID-19. All of a sudden, it seems we are a part of a horror movie. During our regular school days, my daily routine time was perfect, morning 7 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. Each one now was precious to me. When we had a regular school that we enjoyed more regular classes and was about 45 minutes each subject, where we had more time to interact to our teachers. So, but about doubts. But due to the situation of current situation, we are not able to ask any doubts due to the network issues. So we are so many disturbance are there by online class. Some don't have any facility, mobile facility also to attend the classes. We are. I can restart now.
No, we can hear. Harini, you can speak. Please continue.
Our teachers used to take us for trip, but by this situation, we are not able to go anywhere out. So this is a disappointment where we cannot step out anywhere to our environments. So when I got a chance in Save the Child, I got to know much more activities like drawing, storytelling, and making videos about Corona, etc. The activities was very, very nice. I'm going to talk a few words about the activities. Activity. Storytelling, we have collected so many stories from each community. We have got different stories and different morals of the story. So thanks for the activity from Save the Children. And drawing, we have drawn about Corona. So we have about Corona awareness. So thanks for that activity. It was so colorful from each communities. We all have done that one activity. Then making videos about Corona. So we got to know different activity, how to be aware of Corona and how to wear masks and how to wash our hands. So thanks activity. But by this situation, we cannot meet anyone. But while my school was there, I was perfect. But after changing my online, my daily timing has been changed. So My total routine time is changed. We were by when school was there, my sports was there, volleyball, throwball, and so many sports was there. We are missing everything due to this COVID-19. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Harini, for sharing your experience. Harini is one of our project. She belongs to one of our project area in Bangalore. We are working with waste-picking families in Bangalore urban with the support of H&M Foundation. So she's also one of the important child champion to help other children. Giving a lot of learning materials to other children. She's supporting neighborhood children and their friends. So thank you, Harini. Thank you so much. And now we request one more child champion from Odisha. She's Mahakul, age is 12 years, and she's in 8th class now. So now I request Ritam to speak about her experience, and Mr. Surendra will translate into the English language. What, Ritam? Yeah.
ମୋର ନାମ ରିତମ ମହାକୁଳ।
Yeah.
ମୁଁ ସପ୍ତମ ଶ୍ରେଣୀରେ ପଢୁଛି। ମୋର ଜିଲ୍ଲା ବୌଦ୍ଧ। 2 ବର୍ଷ ହେଲାଣି ଯୋଉ କରୋନା ମହାମାରୀ ଲାଗି ସ୍କୁଲ ବନ୍ଦ ଅଛି। ସ୍କୁଲ ବନ୍ଦ ଅଛି। ଯାହା ବି ପଢିଥିଲା ସବୁ ଧୀରେ ଧୀରେ ପାସରି ହେଇଗଲାଣି। ଟ୍ୟୁସନ ପତ୍ର ବି ତ ବନ୍ଦ ଅଛି। ବନ୍ଦ ଅଛି। ଯୋଉ ଅନଲାଇନ କ୍ଲାସ ଅଛି ନେଟୱାର୍କ ପାଉନି। ଆଉ ସାଙ୍ଗସାଥିମାନଙ୍କ ସହିତ ମିଳିମିଶି ହଉନି, କି ଖେଳି ବି ହଉନି। ଘରୁ ବାହାରକୁ ଗଲେ ବାପା ମା ମାନେ ରାଗୁଛନ୍ତି। ସେଭ୍ ଦି ଚିଲଡ୍ରେନ ରୁ ଦିଦି ଭାଇ ମାନେ ଆସି ଆମକୁ ବହୁତ ଗୁଡେ ଶିକ୍ଷଣ ଜିନିଷ ଦଉଛନ୍ତି, ଶିଖାଉଛନ୍ତି ବି। ଆଉ ଆମକୁ ଗ୍ରୁପ କରି ଆମକୁ WhatsApp ରେ ବହୁତ ଗୁଡା ଶିକ୍ଷଣ ଜିନିଷ ଦେଖାଉଛନ୍ତି। ଆମେ ବହୁତ ଗୁଡା ଶିଖିଲୁଣି। ମୁଁ ଏତିକି ଆଶା କରୁଛି ଯେ ସେଭ୍ ଦି ଚିଲଡ୍ରେନ ର ଦିଦି ଭାଇ ମାନେ ଆମକୁ ଆଉ କିଛି ଶିକ୍ଷଣ କିଟ୍ ଦଉଛନ୍ତି। ଧନ୍ୟବାଦ।
Hi, this is Surendra. Hello.
Please, Surendra, please.
Actually, Ritam is in 7th class from our project area. He said that due to this corona situation, he is not able to attend school, even not tuition classes. Even he is not able to discuss about clarification in maths with his friend. He do not have the complete set of books, and also not able to access online classes due to network issues. At the same time, he also mentioned that as he is staying for a long time in his home, then there are instances that his parents are also scolding different times as he is spending more time with his parents. Then he also mentioned that he from Save the Children, he have got some materials in WhatsApp, and he and also some hard copies of material he is using for learning. And one important aspect he mentioned that as for last 2 years he is not able to attend schools. So he forgot the things that he learned before this pandemic situation. And he urged Save the Children that more and more materials, specifically he mentioned that hard copies of materials to be provided to him for his learning continuity. Thank you.
Thank you, Surendra, and thank you, Ritam, for I think explaining about your experience and how you're coping up with all the challenges now. And now I invite Shivasri from Tamil Nadu, Mr. Mansoor. Shivasri.
Yeah, Mr. Sir. Yeah. I'll just connecting her. Just. Hello.
problem. Yeah, she's, I think, talking on the phone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
now
Please.
she can talk.
Yeah. Over to you, Shri, please.
Okay, பேச சொல்லுங்க நம்ம மீட்டிங்ல இருக்க.
வணக்கம் சார். I am Kirti, நாகப்பட்டினம் டிஸ்ட்ரிக்ட்ல பெருதுங்கிற வில்லேஜ்ல இருந்து பேசுறேன். COVID-19ஆல சரியா என்னால கிளாஸ் செவன்த் கிளாஸ் அட்டெண்ட் பண்ண முடியல. நான் ஒரு ஃபிஷர்மேன் சார். ஆன்லைன் கிளாஸ் நடந்துச்சு, நானும் சரியா அட்டெண்ட் பண்ண முடியல. ஸ்கூல் வச்சாங்க, அதுல இடையில லாக்டவுன் போட்டதுனால என்னால சரியா அட்டெண்ட் பண்ண முடியல.
ஓகே, அப்போ உங்க ஃபேமிலி எப்படி சப்போர்ட் பண்ணிருக்க?
ஃபேமிலி சப்போர்ட் பண்ணாங்க, போறதுக்குலாம் சப்போர்ட் பண்ணாங்க. புக்கும் வாங்கி கொடுத்தாங்க, வீட்லயே படிக்கிறதுக்காக புக் எல்லாம் வாங்கி கொடுத்தாங்க. ஆனாலும் சரியா கிளாஸ் நடக்கல.
ஓகே ஓகே, வேற ஏதாவது உங்களுக்கு பேசணுமா?
கஷ்டப்பட்டாமே எங்களை படிக்கணும்னு ஆசைப்பட்டாங்க. படிக்க முடியல. பேரண்ட்ஸ் செவன்த் கிளாஸ் அட்டெண்ட் பண்ணிருந்தா எயித்து கிளாஸ் போயிருந்துருக்கலாம். போயிருந்து அங்கேயும் அதையும் அட்டெண்ட் பண்ணிட்டா மேல படிக்க. இப்ப எயித்து கிளாஸ் இது லாக்டவுன்னால இப்ப பாஸ் போட்டுட்டா நைன்த் கிளாஸ் ஸ்ட்ரெயிட்டா போயிட்டா எங்களால சரியா படிக்க முடியாது.
ஓகே ஓகே, சரிங்க. சோ ஓகே, வேற ஏதாவது இருக்கா?
இப்ப இருக்கிற சிச்சுவேஷன்ல ஃபேமிலி ரொம்ப கஷ்டமா இருக்கு.
ஓகே, நான் பேசுறேன். தேங்க்யூ. நான் இவர்கிட்ட டிரான்ஸ்லேட் பண்ணி கொடுக்குறேன். சரிவா? தேங்க்யூ.
Thank you, Mansoor. Mansoor, are you translating or?
Yeah, I can do, sir.
Please.
Fisherman community. So she last year she completed 7th standard, but she not attended any physical classes. That's why it's quite difficult to attend 8th standard also. So they also face some economical issue that also she mentioned. So yes, sir.
Thank you, Mansoor, bringing Shivashri. Thank you so much. And there is SH Aspin. She is representing from Andhra Pradesh. She is unable to join. Now we are going to invite Mrs. Saujanya. She is a parent from Telangana. How she is really, she narrated her experience during a meeting recently. And she is ensuring the children learning by getting materials from different places and also connecting teachers, and also herself, I think, taking a lot of initiatives for ensuring on a very constructive timetable they built at home. So I request Saujanya Garu from Telangana. She hails from Karimnagar district. So I request Saujanya Garu. Amma Saujanya, are you there? Hello. Geeta, are you there?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Yeah. Saujanya Garu is connecting now already. She's there in the lobby. I've seen her. Yeah.
Yes. 1 second, sir.
Okay. Or otherwise, you keep it ready. Then in the meantime, I think we'll go with other agenda.
Okay, sir.
That's fine, no? Okay.
Yes, sir. Fine.
So thank you so much, Geeta. Please bring her on the board for maybe another maybe 10 minutes. Now I request Professor Pranati Panda, madam. She is really supporting our activities wherever she's our, I think, close associated for the last decade. So, Madam Pranati Panda is a professor and head Department of School and Non-Formal Education and School Standards and also Evaluation at NUPA and New Delhi. Now, I request Pranati Panda, Madam, to speak on our experiences and also can give us some of the strategies can be adopted maybe on the agenda. About you, Pranati ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thanks indeed to be part of these deliberations. After listening to these children, it is unfolding many critical questions in this critical situation. Very, very difficult situation. Hence, we are thinking about education. And we are also looking at how the global pandemic is testing the responsiveness of schools system as well as the very learning processes. And schools are closing to protect their students and the in a broader public space, but it doesn't mean a stop to learning for students or teachers. So the major question is that what does this mean for schools? What does this mean for teachers as well as the very teaching learning processes? I think Katya mentioned about the global context, but let me focus a bit on the Indian situation, listening or capturing the voices of the students, parents, and others. If you look at the very understanding the very critical nuances of the schooling, learning, assessment in the Indian context is very critical. We need to focus on that when we are taking any kind of deliberation discourses on learning, continuity of learning in this difficult situation. If you look at our, I will not talk about the pandemic situation as well and the kind of challenges we are encountering. We all are aware about it. It has affected our life. It has affected our life of our children, family, society at large, schools at large. But we are operating in a vast, diversified schooling context, and we are working for this diversified school. And there is a question of disparity, also the question of quality. It's you can say the situation is like this in the schooling context. We have been grappling with the very quality issues and so on and so forth. And we are managing more than 1.5 million schools, 9 million teachers, more than 200 million children. And in this difficult situation, how do we prepare our school to be more responsive to this very difficult pandemic situation, and including our teachers, including our education system, children, and so on, and also the very learning processes. So when I was just looking at it, we have to really focus on how schools responded to the pandemic during last year. I think we started deliberation, the responsiveness of schools, learning processes, and we are exploring many pathways to address these critical issues. Many options are coming up. I think the great initiative by Save the Children, we need to appreciate that. The small initiative would really bring some kind of changes. So when we look at the critical role of the school, it is not only raising the question to address the criticality of pandemic, but it is also addressing the very sustainable model for schooling system for any kind of crisis beyond pandemic as well, any kind of thing. So when we are looking at in a very broader platform, there are three ways of looking at it: sustainable quality, sustainable flexible learning option, which we have been talking about for a long time. How do children learn? How they need to adapt themselves to the very flexible learning environment and be the constructor of knowledge. If you look at the voices coming from the children, Recently, I was in one of the webinar where we are talking about board examination and beyond. It is the voices are truly reflecting the kind of education system where we are situated. I think the market mediated model, the very political model, all these are largely influencing our mindset. So the learning space which we are looking for is flexible learning option, and situating child in the center stage should be our major focus during this pandemic. And when we are looking at the child, or I can use the word learner, learning needs, and flexibility in learning. These are the three things. I think Katya has clearly mentioned about the learners or the child, their safety, their well-being, the mental health. All these things are very, very critical in this difficult situation. I think the mental health of the children, their safety, we need to look at. Life is more precious than anything else. We need to protect our children, and we need to provide very, very conducive environment. But that doesn't mean that we would not provide any kind of learning environment. So at this situation, the family, society is considered as the safest zone for the learning of our children. So how do we support family? There are many family where you will not find that kind of support for our children. So some kind of interaction with the parents, support to the children would definitely help us. We need to evolve some kind of module to develop some kind of new social contract with our family, with the situation, how they need to manage children, because children, they belong to that particular family. How do they take care of their health, well-being, as well as the learning situation? I was just calculating in Indian situation, the closure of school has uh, led to the deprivation of 12,000 hours of learning. That means every 5 to 6 days per day, and instructional days of 100, 120, 140 days. So we are depriving our children for the learning 12,000 hours. We need to look at that. And how they are engaging themselves, that 3 to 5 to 6 hours per day to learn something. So the formalized learning and informal learning within the family context, the kind of support or kit, modules, material, what Save the Children, other agencies have developed, many education departments are supporting, one has to look at. Recently, we had a long deliberation with almost all state and UTs to find out how the education system is responding to the educational needs of the learners. The multifarious ways different states are adopting, possibly with the aspiration that some of these models would support the learners. But somehow or rather, it's not reaching to the children in a very, very rightful way. And children are not benefiting. So the initiative by the system, initiative by the school, and the learning gained by the learners, we need to look at. What is working, what is not working, we are still learning. The system is learning, schools are learning, and academias are learning what is benefiting our children during this critical pandemic time. And when we look at the learning needs, how do we define, when we are talking about continuity of learning of the very content knowledge or the textbook knowledge, or what kind of learning needs we are articulating during this pandemic time? I think this is a very critical situation, but it is also unfolding for all of us to analyze, unfold this concept. What are the learning needs of the learners, the kind of support they require, and how we need to reach to our children? And also the learning opportunities. How do we create learning opportunities for the children in an equitable manner and reaching to many disadvantaged sections? For example, a child from Odisha was talking that they are deprived of schooling. Now the significance of schooling is coming in a very big way. Otherwise, you would find people would be critiquing the schooling purpose, schooling processes. But now we have realized the significance of schooling. Somehow the child is mentioning about the coaching as well. So one has to look at the kind of learning opportunities the children are missing and how the system agencies are providing to this kind of situation. I have a few suggestions. You can say there are three measures for the learning continuity. There is no perfect solution. We need to understand that. I was analyzing the initiative taken during last 14 months nationally and also internationally. There's no ready-made answer to this. So what should we search for, look for, and implement in a very rightful manner? So first one is the immediate solution. How do we really provide some kind of solution for the continuity of learning as immediate solution to this crisis? I think some of the initiative like Save the Children, local specific needs, very decentralized model needs, one need to explore. And we are talking about a very local specific needs. There should be greater autonomy, accountability, transparency, some kind of capacity development, something. We should not only look for the online or digital facilitation as one of the solutions. The multiple modalities at the local level will need to unfold. So how do we do it? I think the local leaders can play the significant role to provide multiple opportunity to establish the continuity of learning. And second option, that midterm, what we can look at, what lesson we are getting from this deliberation, from this critical situation, the very kind of preparedness of the school, education system, and also the teacher to meet this kind of crisis now and also for the future. I think India is encountering continuously one crisis after other, but our school system, our teachers are not ready for that kind of situation. So this midterm solution, we need to evolve for developing some kind of solution for the diversified schooling system, diversified learners in the Indian situation. And last one, rethinking continuity of learning and move towards sustainable, flexible learning system. When I'm talking about sustainable, I think it's globally as well as nationally, we have been talking about the learning crisis. And many times schools are questioned the kind of learning opportunity they provide. So in this situation, the very sustainable model we should look for and provide the right kind of learning opportunity to our children along with the safety and well-being. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Really given short-term, mid-term, and sustainable plans. You're correct, ma'am, because we look at more options. Maybe online is almost already we experienced. To look at for offline teaching and learning process. And also you mentioned about the teaching, maybe beyond textbooks, beyond academics and beyond lessons. So that's very, very important. So thank you so much, madam. You have given valuable, very, very valuable point for roadmap from UPA. So appreciate your participation and also your valuable thoughts. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you very much. And now we are going to have, I think, parent view and her experience during pandemic, how really she managed her children for learning, maybe informal teaching and learning process. So I request Mrs. from Karimnagar, who is going to speak now. Saujanya Garu, please, over to you. Please on your camera, and I think you are there. You please, ma'am. Yeah. Yeah, Saujanya Garu, thank you and welcome, Amma. Please, me Telugulo మాట్లాడండి and I'll translate it in English. Please, Amma. Yeah.
Sir, good evening, sir. అందరికీ గుడ్ ఈవినింగ్ సార్. ఈ యొక్క కరోనా సమయంలో పిల్లలకి ఈ యొక్క పాఠశాల లేకపోవడం వలన చాలా ఇబ్బందులు ఎదుర్కొంటారు సార్. వీళ్ళకి ఆన్లైన్ క్లాసుల ద్వారా కొంచెం తల్లిదండ్రులు కొంచెం చదువుకున్న వారైతే ఆన్లైన్ క్లాసుల ద్వారా వాళ్ళకు వివరించడం జరుగుతుంది. కొంచెం చదువుకోని తల్లిదండ్రులు ఉంటే వాళ్ళకు కొంచెం ఇబ్బందులు ఎదుర్కోవాల్సి వస్తుంది. అప్పుడు 2017లో ఒకటి మన సేవ్ ద చిల్డ్రన్ సంస్థ నుండి కొన్ని వర్క్ బుక్స్ ఇవ్వడం జరిగింది సార్. ఆ వర్క్ బుక్స్ పిల్లలకి ఎంతో ఉపయోగపడ్డాయి సార్. ఎందుకంటే ఆ వర్క్ బుక్ ద్వారా పిల్లలకి చదవడం గాని, రాయడం గాని, వాళ్ళకి అక్షరాలు, ఒత్తు, దీర్ఘము అనే పదాలు లెక్కించడము, ఒక ప్రాక్టికల్ గా ఒక బొమ్మనిచ్చి ఆ బొమ్మలో ఏమేమి ఉన్నవి, ఇవి అంకెలు లెక్క పెట్టడము, వాటి యొక్క కలర్లు, ఇదొక పొలము, ఈ పొలంలో ఈ యొక్క ఇన్ని వస్తువులు ఉంటాయి, ఇన్ని రకాల వాటితోని ఇది ఒకటి జరుగుతుంది, ఇంట్లో ఇంట్లో ఉండే వస్తువులు ఏంటి, ఇంట్లో ఎవరెవరు ఉంటారు, నా ఇల్లు, నా కుటుంబము, నేను సొంతంగా పాడగలను అనే వాటిపై పిల్లలకు కొంచెం వాటి ద్వారా చాలా ఉపయోగకరంగా ఉంది సార్. ఇట్లాంటి కరోనా సమయంలో పిల్లలకి అట్లాంటి బుక్స్, వర్క్ బుక్ ఇస్తే బాగుంటుందని నా యొక్క ఒపీనియన్ సార్. మళ్ళీ ఒకటి ఏంటంటే పిల్లలు ఆన్లైన్ క్లాసులు వినడం వలన కొంచెము వాళ్ళకి పక్కకి ఉండి ఏమన్నా చెప్పగలిగే వాళ్ళం అంటే చదువుకున్న తల్లిదండ్రులు అయితే చెప్పగలుగుతారు సార్. మా యొక్క చిన్న విన్నపం ఏంటంటే సేవ్ ద చిల్డ్రన్ సంస్థ నుండి ఇచ్చిన బుక్స్ మళ్ళీ పిల్లలకి ఇట్లాంటి సమయంలో ఇస్తే బాగుంటుందని నా యొక్క చిన్న విన్నపం సార్. ఇందులో ఏమన్నా తప్పులుంటే క్షమించగలరు సార్. ఈ అవకాశాన్ని ఇచ్చిన మీకు కృతజ్ఞతలు తెలుపుకుంటున్నా సార్. థ్యాంక్ యూ సార్.
థ్యాంక్ యూ సౌజన్య గారు. రియల్లీ మీరు చాలా ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేశారమ్మా, చాలా సంతోషం. థ్యాంక్ యూ. అండ్ ఐ ట్రాన్స్లేట్ ఇన్ ఇంగ్లీష్. సౌజన్య గారు mentioned about two important things, because online may be possible for those who are having digital devices, one. And second thing, mentioned about the challenges because of online education. Because if any online education, if parent is educated, then only they'll be able to help support children wherever they get doubts. That is a very, very important challenge what she was mentioned. And also one more thing, she talked about workbooks. Save the Children and Department of School Education, we have given workbooks in 2017. Upendra Reddy sir is also there on the board actually. During sir was really guided us to make all these workbooks. She's talking about distribution of workbooks during this pandemic, because children can work on their own, and also these create a very experiential learning for the children. That was the important aspect she mentioned. And also, so these kind of workbooks and worksheets, maybe if required, be provided by the government or anybody, I think children be able to cope up all these challenges, and they can, I think these materials can bridge the learning gap because of the children away from the school for the last so many months. So thank you, Saujanya garu. మీరు చెప్పిన మాటలన్నీ బ్రీఫ్ గా నేను ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేశాను. థ్యాంక్ యూ వెరీ మచ్. అండ్ మీరు చెప్పిన విషయాలు మేము డెఫినెట్ గా మేము పరిగణన తీసుకుని వీల్ రైట్ నోట్ ఆన్ దట్. థ్యాంక్ యూ వెరీ మచ్ సౌజన్య గారు. థ్యాంక్ యూ వెరీ మచ్. Now I request one child champion is there. Now she joined from Andhra Pradesh. She'll talk briefly about her experiences during the pandemic. Yeah, Aspin, are you there? Please on your camera and speak.
అందరికీ నమస్కారం సార్.
Yeah.
నా పేరు అప్షిన్. నేను 9వ తరగతి చదువుతున్నాను. మాది అంజలాపురం గ్రామం, నెల్లూరు జిల్లా సార్. ఇంతకుముందు నాకు ఎప్పుడు ఇలా మాట్లాడే అవకాశం రాలేదు. ఇప్పుడే నేను మొదటిసారిగా మాట్లాడుతున్నాను సార్. ఈ కరోనా టైంలో ఏంటంటే మాకు దాదాపు 2 సంవత్సరాల నుంచి స్కూల్స్ మిస్ అయ్యాం. మేము చదువుతున్నప్పుడు 8th క్లాస్. ఆ 8th క్లాస్ లో కరోనా వచ్చింది. అప్పటి నుంచి 9th, ఇప్పుడు మేము 9th క్లాస్. ఇప్పటి వరకు కూడా లాక్డౌన్ అలాగే ఉండడం వల్ల మేము ఇంట్లోనే ఉండిపోయాం. ఇప్పుడు ఈ 9th కూడా అయిపోవచ్చింది. తర్వాత మేము 10th అంటే మేము 10th అంటే ఇంకా బాగా ప్రిపేర్ అవ్వాలి కాబట్టి మాకు మెటీరియల్స్ కూడా లేవు. మాకు సేవ్ ద చిల్డ్రన్ వాళ్ళు 10th క్లాస్ మెటీరియల్స్, మాకేమన్నా డౌట్ వస్తే హబ్ సెంటర్ కి వెళ్ళి వాళ్ళు మెటీరియల్ ఇస్తారు. వాళ్ళు ఆ డౌట్ ని క్లారిఫై చేసుకుంటున్నాము. మరియు మాకు డౌట్స్ వస్తే హబ్ సెంటర్ లో ఉన్న అన్న వాళ్ళు, మేడమ్స్, హబ్ సెంటర్ లో మా అపర్ణ మేడం గారు, అశోక్ అన్న వాళ్ళంతా మాకు చాలా హెల్ప్ చేస్తున్నారు. ఈ కరోనాలో మేము చదువుకోకుండా స్కూల్ కి వెళ్ళకుండా ఉండడం వలన మాకు చాలా సార్ పిల్లలకి చాలా ఇబ్బందులు ఎదుర్కొంటున్నాము. అంటే ఇప్పుడు కరోనా వల్ల మేము స్కూల్కి వెళ్తే చాలా ఆడుకుంటాం, ఫ్రెష్ గా ఉత్సాహంగా ఉంటాం. అక్కడ వెళ్ళకపోవడం వల్ల మేము ఫిజికల్ గా అసలు ఆడుకోలేకపోతున్నాము. మరి ఇంట్లోనే బోర్ కొడుతుంది, చదువుకోలేకపోతున్నాము, ఫ్రెండ్స్ తో షేరింగ్ చేసుకోలేకపోతున్నాం. మంచి అనుభూతులు మిస్ అవుతున్నాం సార్, చాలా మిస్ అవుతున్నాం. మాకు టీచర్స్ చెప్తే చాలా అర్థం అవుతుంది, లేకపోతే మేము ఆడుకుంటూ పాటలు పాడుతూ ఇవన్నీ చేస్తూ మాకు కొంచెం అర్థం అవుతుంది. ఇంట్లోనే ఉండి నేను కథలు చదువుకుంటున్నాను, అంతకుముందు ఇచ్చిన మెటీరియల్స్ చదువుకుంటున్నాను. సేవ్ ద చిల్డ్రన్ వాళ్ళు ఇచ్చారు సార్ మెటీరియల్స్ చాలా, అవి కూడా నేర్చుకుంటున్నాను. నాకు డౌట్స్ వస్తే వాళ్ళ దగ్గర క్లారిఫై చేసుకుంటున్నాను. స్టోరీ బుక్స్, డ్రాయింగ్ వేసుకుంటూ ఇవన్నీ చదువుకుంటున్నాను సార్. నా విన్నపం ఏంటంటే సార్, ఇప్పుడు మనకైతే సేవ్ ద చిల్డ్రన్ వాళ్ళంతా ఉన్నారు, అసలు ఆన్లైన్ క్లాసులు అవన్నీ లేని వారికి కూడా ఇలాంటి మెటీరియల్స్ ఇచ్చి వాళ్ళకి సహాయం చేయాలని కోరుకుంటున్నాను సార్. ఈ అవకాశం ఇచ్చిన సేవ్ ది చిల్డ్రన్ వాళ్ళకి థ్యాంక్ యూ సార్, ధన్యవాదాలు. మీకు కూడా
థ్యాంక్స్ అమ్మా. థ్యాంక్ యూ సో మచ్ అశ్విన్.
థ్యాంక్ యూ సార్.
I'll translate Aspin points because she narrated about her experience because of school closure, she is missing friends and peers. And also, I think even though they're maybe reading books and working on different workbooks provided by Save the Children, but however, her request is they're physically stressed because they need play, they need they maybe school environment to get motivated through their friends. And also suggesting wherever Save the Children already started a hub structure for e-learning support for communities. The center is also providing children learning material and reaching them through volunteers. So volunteers also supporting them whenever they stuck, maybe require support for learning. So she's suggesting to provide these kind of materials, mostly offline material who help the learning for these children. So she's also doing drawing, painting, and other core curricular activities. So she's suggesting to people could help the reading and learning material to keep up the learning live for all the children. Thank you, Aspita, and thank you very much for I think your experience, and also thank you very much for the teachers and volunteers, really those who are supporting these learning process at the field. Thank you. And yeah, now I request Dr. R. Shivapagaru from Mysore University. Sorry for the late because we are schedule is little behind the schedule. And I request Professor Dr. Shivappa, Registrar, Mysore University. Sir, please share your thoughts, maybe keeping the view of the current maybe challenges were shared by parents, children, and other key stakeholders. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Sri Nagesh Malladi garu. First of all, I would like to thank you for the great opportunity you have provided. Use of Goswami and the person who has set the context, Vikas Gora, and You yourself have deliberated so many points, and Madam Pranati Pandya and Katia, Katia, Dantas, and many people, especially Apshin, she has pointed out so many things, Saujanya, Harini, and all these children have expressed the concerns over this thing. Um, the placard, I wish I could go to school again, is really as a wish actually. We are in a very difficult situation now. At this juncture, education and learning during COVID time has become a really challenging times, and we need to be careful in discharging our responsibilities. This uncertainty may continue for some more time, and definitely children are missing playing, reading, learning, enjoying, and interacting with other students, other co-learners, other teachers, and other people in the school environment or in the neighborhood environment. That is, they're missing a lot. At this point of time, I'd like to touch upon the role of government and also the role of schools, role of parents in a brief manner. As we all know that education is a fundamental right, and taking education to the people is a primary responsibility of the government, but it's a concurrent on the concurrent list as per our constitutional provisions. Now, at this point of time, government has to think very seriously about the alternative arrangements to manage this crisis, and they're not supposed to have a very short-term plans. Keeping in this kind of a pandemic situations and all, they need to make a long-term plans, and stability of these systems, these plans are very essential. And governments are making every day kind of different statements are being made by the different ministries, different people about this pandemic situation, school education, and their exams and things like that. There is no clarity. Of course, governments also never expected this kind of unforeseen thing, but they have a lot of responsibility. So we need to have a clarity on that one. And there is a lot of confusion amongst parents and children about their own education and things like that. And everybody, parents and children, they are having kind of short-term plans. But in my view, see, last year, last November or December 2019, we have seen the symptoms of these things, and for 1.5 year we have passed through. So we should go for kind of annual plans. See, these children are facing a lot of problems, lot of confusions, as many children are expressing. Let them get a semester plan or maybe yearly plan. This year we are going to do this one, so there will not be any confusion amongst parents or children. That's a very important annual plan. That is very important. And definitely, see, online learning has become inevitable, and providing Android phones or maybe some kind of number of phones to the family and things like that. That is the need of the hour, because many people may be having, but still, as we see, middle class families, lower middle class families are not having this Android phones, and their children are not having Android phones. We need to be aware of these things. And also we are also supposed to be aware of the misuse of this internet and other things by the children. This is a great opportunity in my view, that all schools can achieve equal results now, because of this digital infrastructure. Digital infrastructure is there in many schools, but many schools were competing with each other, having a great infrastructure, good buildings, that this and all, number of acres and other things. Now that has become redundant, and only the digital infrastructure is is need of the hour. Now many schools, even small schools, if they are catered to the needs of this digital needs, they can provide a wonderful opportunities to their children, and it is not a very great thing. So from that point of view, government can go to the schools, can help these schools, some of the schools, in mitigating this situation. We have a concerns for role of schools, especially role of schools. So you usually see school is not a building. School is not something which is a building. It's a learning center. So there's a learning center is physically closed, but the education process, especially for education process, should be continuing, and the education process is for livelihood, and it's a learning for life making stuff. Not maybe their learning has Saujanya parent was telling about thing. So life making stuff, actually it is a life making stuff, and students now, students and children, they should realize that scoring versus learning. Earlier they were all forced to go for scoring. Now it is we are concentrating, and also children, schools, and everybody they are particular about learning. So there is a kind of thing we need to understand between the scoring versus learning, the performance in the exams and scoring marks. That was the mandatory thing, but now it is the responsibility of making students to learn. No exams, but students have to learn, and they have to introspect the knowledge which has been given by the schools should be introspected by their own teachers and other things. So it is not merely giving them notes or video charts, or maybe sending something like that. See that children have learned some concepts and learned something, and the knowledge is given to the children. At this point of time, I would also touch upon the role of teacher, role of parents. See, parents usually have an abundant love towards children. See, it is we invest in our children education. As a parent, we invest in our children education, not merely see in investing on other things, and it is not money transferring from one generation to another generation. It's not money transfer or something. Every generation invests in next generation. The next generation is our children. So children, love towards children are from the parents are abundant, and the parents do not have a kind of alternative plans about their children. Sometimes parents see, we talk about children learning from their parents, especially maybe mathematics or maybe something like that. As Saujanya or some parents have told, the illiterate parents, for example, they may not be able to teach their children. That is the question. So that's why some people do not have doubts, and they may not be able to clear the doubts, and teaching, and also some the syllabus, especially covering the syllabus is also kind of question now. And sometimes teachers, if they start teaching, the relationship with their children may spoil. Sometimes teachers have a very categorical way of teaching. So if parents take that role, and their relationship with their parents may spoil to some extent. So they cannot be these parents cannot be so categorical in teaching. So that is one point which I would like to make. And some also I would like to touch upon irresponsibilities of the parents also, some on the part of parents. So because of the parents have addiction towards the mobile phones, and children, when if you ask your child to learn, and if you go to your phone and surf WhatsApp or YouTube or something, so children may not be able to listen. So that's why what parents can do is making children to learn is a responsibility of parents, and it's also a responsibility of government, schools, sometimes a tuition master, online. There are so many online tuition masters, and very parents parents are the sponsors, actually. Parents are the sponsors. So at this point of time, I'm not talking about illiterate parents, because the illiterate parents, their responsibility is minimal. But some responsible parents can do all these things. And parents also, they should involve themselves in learning, asking questions to children. Maybe sometimes they may not be able to understand the context and all, but definitely they can ask some questions and definitions, concepts. And children definitely want to please parents. All the children want to please their parents. And so when parents are doing this kind of a thing during this pandemic period, so it's a double win-win situation. The parents also learn something, and children also, because they wanted to impress their parents, so they will also learn effectively. That kind of a thing is going to happen. Online classes, examination, and these things and are really I don't know how far it's going to help us, but children actually, the parents, they need to be modeled to the children. And definitely this Facebook or WhatsApp or maybe other social media thing, children should know how they should make use of these things. Many parents say that do as I say but don't do as I do, so there will be a friction between children and parents. So their children are supposed to do what parents are saying, but sometimes parents also do mistakes. So this is a kind of a thing which is going to happen. So not merely more preaching, parents are not merely more preaching, they should monitor continuously, actively about children learning and inculcate values during this time. Apart from this, government, schools and parents, other as Katia Dantas said, other stakeholders, policy makers, owners of educational institutions, corporates, donors, NGOs, especially like Save the Children kind of organizations, have a lot of responsibility. And so we should come out. All these people are trying to come out with their own ideas. As this program is really very good program, which you are talking to children, which you are talking to parents, you are talking to university people, you are talking to experts, you are talking to bureaucrats at the government level. All these ideas are really very good, and plans and strategies you should make out. And that way, I don't know whether we go back to, we may be under the impression that we go back to the same old system and pre-COVID situation. Will come out again, we go back. We are not under that impression, but we don't know. Uncertainty is going to continue for some more time. That's why we need to gear up ourselves with all the knowledge, preparedness. Governments have really great responsibilities providing education to all by alternative methods, and schools have responsibility, a lot of responsibilities, from conventional educational systems to the present, mitigating the present situation and coming out with a kind of a suitable and comfortable system. We need to explore some kind of transitional methods to reach out to our students. So we need to keep out all our preoccupations and be open to the creation, conducive learning systems. So finally, I would like to appreciate the efforts of the Save the Children organization wholeheartedly, and I thank all the organizers for this virtual meeting, especially Mr. N.M. Chandrasekhar Rao, who has invited me, and for having invited me to talk to you with all my concerns towards children during this pandemic. Take care of yourself, your family, loved ones, neighbors. If possible, extend the needful support to other people who are in need of your services to the extent possible. Thank you. Jai Hind. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Amazing points you have shared, because role of teachers to the parents and school management, of course, the role of responsibility of the government. So of course, the school is not only a physical structure, it should give learning as well as the life skills. So these are all very important points you have mentioned about, and parents also. You talked about very irresponsible parents. Of course, there are challenges because in poor, very very marginal families, they are having only one Android phone and they are unable to spare the time with the children, and that's also one of the key area. And also in a recent UNICEF study also mentioning about only 50% of the families or children are having computers. It's not very big number, of course, maybe not 50%, less than also, I think. So these are the challenges we have stressed upon, and definitely we'll take forward these points in our agenda to advocate for some of the strategies with the government for ensuring learning continuity, not only during pandemic, in any time, in any emergency season or emergency situations. Thank you very much, sir, for all your support, and
Thank you.
we are there, and we'll come again, and we'll take your advice maybe. And thanks to Chandrasekhar Garu also to connect Sarji to for this sharing his experiences and valuable thought. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. Now I invite sir, sorry for the late, because we are a little behind the schedule. Now Professor Dr. Lakshmidhar Behra sir is from RIE Department of Education. So I invite sir. It is RIE is also part of NCRT. He is representing Bhubaneswar, Odisha. So over to you, sir. Behra sir, thank you. Please add your valuable suggestions for strengthening our agenda. Over to you, sir, please.
Thank you. Very good evening to all of you, and namaskar. So thank you, Save the Children, for organizing such a program where people from different fields, parents, students, other stakeholders, planners, educationists, all are involved to develop an action plan for 100 days. And we have to develop a realistic plan which will be implementable. So firstly, I will say that the action plan which is planned by Save the Children for 100 days, so it will be developed based upon their past experiences, the field experiences drawn from different states, the success stories, as well as challenges they have faced. And these will be tuned with the current challenges being faced by the education system. Particularly, I will be speaking about the action agenda points for foundational education or preschool education. So which is one of the important stages of education. Firstly, I can say that one of the important targets now, how will be continuing the developmentally appropriate practices. So as at this preschool stage, foundational stages, so there is always a debate how much or to what extent online education will be useful. So Save the Children can develop plan of action by using some of the developed materials by other organizations, and they can work for developing some of the local specific materials. I have been associated with Save the Children, Odisha and other states also. So in Khordha, in aspirational district like Kandhamal and district like Baud, so they have developed local specific materials which is used. And similarly, other states also, Save the Children, they have developed materials. So how the local specific materials during these present days can be developed. Apart from this, how some of the online materials can be collected from other sources can be useful. That is one of the important points which may be thought of. Secondly, when we are thinking about equity and equitable education for all, so the chief guest as well as Professor Pranati Panda Madam also was talking about this flexibility as well as inclusiveness. So how to reach the unreached, how to reach the ground level problems. So that is one of the important things. Just like in NEP 2020, there is suggestion about ashram salas, opening of ashram salas. We can say that in some of the aspirational districts, some of the local context, how these are working. So these can be documented and shared among other states, which will be probably very much useful. And one point which is also highlighted by others, I can say that how there will be sustainable engagement of children during this pandemic time. So for sustainable engagement, it is high time how will be going to the parents through developing some advocacy materials or other materials, pictorial materials maybe, how we'll be orienting parents, how they will be in a sustainable manner, how they'll be engaging their children in the activities. Yes, when we're talking about engaging the parents, to engage their children, the poverty factor is coming. But researchers reveal that if there will be positive attitude among the parents, poverty will not be a factor. So this may be taken into account. So another important point I can say, supporting teachers and other sectoral persons. So with regard to this, I can say that when we talk about preschool education, quality dimensions of preschool education, we can say that we are mostly targeting the common centers like Anganwadis. So we are not talking about the private center, private preschools. So how the Anganwadi functionaries, how the parents, they will be oriented about all these issues. So this is also one of the important things which may be considered. And as I was mentioning, documenting the success stories during the last 14 months. What has been done by different states, by Save the Children, other NGOs, other sectors, other departments of state government as well as central government. So these can be used, and I can say that during the pandemic period, Ministry of Education, NCIT collaborated, and Monodarpan and other materials have been developed. And some of the video clippings can also be useful for the students at the early grades and at other schooling stages. So I must thank Save the Children South and Save the Children India for organizing such a very important program, in which I have experience for meeting educationists like Katia and educationists like Professor Pranati Panda ma'am. So this is a learning experience for me. All the best to Save the Children. Thank you. Over from my side.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And you have given valuable thoughts for building the foundational education for children. Definitely, I think there is a need of the document practices, potential practices to follow during this pandemic, and also definitely so the role of the parents, and also you mentioned about our experiences in Odisha. So definitely we'll document and we'll share it with larger stakeholders to look into those, to follow or to replicate the same models, maybe for ensuring learning, especially for age 3 to 6 years. So thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And we'll get back to you with maybe our agenda. So strengthen the campaign for 100 days of action. So thank you. And now I invite Dr. TVS Ramesh Garu from representing from Sarva Shiksha, Samagra Shiksha from Andhra Pradesh. So over to you, sir, Ramesh Garu. Then I think there are few speakers from representation from SCPCR chairperson is there, J. Srinivas Rao Garu, and Mr. Raghottam Reddy Garu is representing his teacher MLC, and other few the speakers are there. And now I request TVS Ramesh Garu to share his thoughts from Andhra Pradesh. Please, over to you, sir, Ramesh.
Thank you, Nagesh sir.
Welcome, sir. Please, yeah.
I would like to share a few of my ideas regarding this learning gap. Particularly, if the learning gap may continue, it creates some kind of learning disaster among children. I think so. During this pandemic situation, for the last 14 months, students are away from the school. There is a big learning gap among students. The standards of the students become declined day by day. Why? Because students, there is no specific concentration on students' performance. So I think this COVID situation, we should utilize it as an advantage to improve the standards of low achievers. Actually, in our government sector schools, more than 50% of students are not attaining class-specific learning standards. Even ASR and other national reports also mentioned that the performance of the students are very low, in particularly at government schools. For the last 16 and 14 months, there is no specific concentration on primary school children. Some classes are conducted at high school level, but there is no special concentration on primary schools. So the standards of primary school children will decline day by day. So in this particular situation, it is immediate need to address primary school students. Why? Because the first 3 years of school education play a vital role in development of the child. If the proper education is not provided to the student, he may not attain future standards. So we should provide at least some kind of a print-rich environment to these students at village level. Why? Because almost all the villages, nearly 70% of primary school children are no tech students. They are not having any technical device like Android phone and other things. Even though their parents have phone, but they are not engaged in online such kind of mobile data validation, etc. So this creates some problem. So the other way is to reach that particular group of children is by providing physical content. That means workbooks and other small brochures, posters like things. So Save the Children organization can take its lead to provide such kind of material to these primary school children. It is very much helpful to them to engage in learning process. And other thing is at rural level, at village level, particularly at tribal areas and other areas, TV is the only setup. TV is the only resource to address these children. So shall we utilize television as a medium to make the children to engage in this particular learning process? Recently, one practice is I heard about self-language subtitles of TV serials and TV programs. Even though it is in mother tongue like Telugu, subtitles will be appear on the screen. So children are engaged to reading that particular subtitles. Such type of practice is also useful to make the children to participate in at least some extent in the reading purpose. So we should concentrate on these areas, particularly tribal areas and people from deprived sections. We should concentrate on that particular area. The same situation is there in private sector also. Most of the parents, even though they are having mobile and Android phone facilities, but the parent is not aware to provide education facilities to the children through online courses. The namesake online courses are not at all useful to the students to improve their learning skills. Particularly, the private institutions and other organizations conducting online courses, particularly for high school children. So students are not interested to participate in that area. Why? Because there are some learning gaps, the content and presentation styles and other things are not comfortable to the students to understand those things. So this pandemic situation, almost all students are become depressed in mood. They want some recreation. They want some kind of mental relaxation. Why? Because they feel alone in their home. So this pandemic situation, has clear the role of the teacher. Clear the role of the teacher. There is no replacement for the teacher. There is no replacement for the school. The children at school, they can only they develop their physical and emotional and 360-degree of development only will acquire at school. But the situation is not so convenient, not so comfortable to the students. So my in my experience, in my opinion, we must address these no-tech zone students. Almost 50% of students across our state belongs to no-tech zone. There is no specific technology support to these children. The only thing is print media. So it is advised to prepare such kind of print-rich environment to the students. So the Save the Children organization take this particular situation as an advantage to develop such type of material and provide material to the children in whatever way is convenient to reach the children. At the same time, we must think of alternative arrangements for these no-tech population. In one South African country, there is a practice. One public address system is there at a panchayat or a village center. Through that particular public address system, audio lessons, audio concepts are broadcasted through public address system, like our ham radio or something. So we must think of in these lines also. Why? Because this is very important to address the people who are not having technical devices. At the same time, prepare quality and some kind of creative interest generated activities for the children and telecast to these information through YouTube or other things to reach the children who are having computers, laptops, etc. So why we should think some kind out of box. This particular COVID situation, we are not trying to complete the syllabus. We are not trying to complete the lessons whatever there in the textbook. It is better to go beyond the textbook. It is better to follow the thematic approaches to address the needs of the students. This is somewhat helpful to the students. Why? Because if we teach the lessons and other things, even though in this particular situation, they are not participating in learning process. So we must think out of box. We must develop such type of material to the students that is only helpful for the students to participate in learning process. So I request Save the Children organization, please study whatever best practices are there across the globe for these no-tech children population. We have to utilize those type of practices in our states also, particularly in Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. The situation is similar. The standards of the students is also similar. The political and economical conditions of the population is also similar. So it is better to create print-rich environment at a village level. We should supply some handbooks or posters or other things that will helpful for the children to make a bridge between this particular learning gap. Otherwise, it will become a learning disaster in future also. So this is my observation. Please have a look on whatever practices are there across the globe to meet this challenge. Sir. Thank you for giving me this chance. Sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Rameshka. Thank you so much. Really, you talked about the no-tech zone. So this is one of the major challenge, and also you talked about foundation, primary education, the support for primary school children. That is also one of the important, and learning environment through print-rich environment. So these three things are very takeaways, and definitely Save the Children already working already. And earlier also you have done a lot of workbooks and other the materials for children. Of course, this very need of the hour. Maybe online education is maybe ornamental. Of course, sorry, I don't want to use. I should not use this, but it's print awareness and print learning environment is very important, because they can read, they can write, they can imagination, the experiential learning is. Otherwise, online education is there. Many people are telling no, even they cannot. I think get the solution for their doubts whenever they attending the classes. So definitely we'll look into all these points. Definitely we are keeping your points in our agenda. Thank you, Rameshkar, for representing AP and sharing your thoughts. And definitely we take it forward. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. And thank you so much. And now we are proceeding to other agenda. I think because of time, Raghutam Reddy Garu is MLC, teacher MLC. I think sir was there, but I don't know whether MLC Raghutam Reddy Garu is there or not. Rupali, can we check in participants, or otherwise shall we go to the J. Srinivasrao Garu, chairperson SCPCR? Yeah.
Okay. Good evening to everyone.
Yes,
I don't
sir.
know,
Thank you, sir. Welcome,
except
sir.
one, I think one participant from Brazil. I think it should be, I don't know the time. It should be night, probably. uh, uh, I think all the Save the Children family members and all the respectable dignitaries were part of this whole process, and the children and the parents and each of them. I think I take this as a great opportunity to connect and listen to and learn from. So definitely by now it's been a insightful experience for me. Last 1 hour plus, I believe I learned quite a few things which are important, which I can probably put it to action. So I don't want to repeat all that learning came out of wisdom of experience in the fields. I want to touch upon it from the practice more perspective, wherein I strongly take few takeaway points. One important point which came from Panda Madam, that is, no, we have to make it local specific. How do we make it local specific? I think the least that point I consider is the panchayat, but I'm sure it's very difficult to design it that way. But at least we can keep some open-ended options to each processes, wherein it should become as localized as possible. I think that one thing I'm sure Save the Children, with his long experience in the sector of education, has already considered it. And with the global learning, they have the national learnings and the local learnings of each state. That would be considered, I believe, as one point I'm considering. To another point which came from Ramesh Garu, the target, the 50% plus, I believe, I think it's definitely more than 50%, who are not actually totally digitally, they are not equipped with. So how do we address their concerns? These two I consider very important. I think I'm sure Save the Children should have looked into it, but I am only trying to reiterate. Then third one I consider important, which came from the speaker, from the mother who spoke from Karimnagar, which she said very particularly about the workbooks. I think that talks totally about what Nagesh Garu was reiterating with in the whole anchoring process, like facilitation process, that how do we bring in that simplified modes where the children are feel handy to work with and improve their learning ability, improve their learning standards. I think that mode I should be looked at very seriously. I'm also certain that the children must have looked at it with their past experience. These three things I'm able to see very pertinently as one. And more than that, I just want to add a few more dimensions to the whole process. I always feel necessity is the mother of invention. The pandemic has thrown challenges, and I'm sure I don't want to shy in saying one point, that not that our learning standards were so great earlier. And if you look at Pratham studies and how pathetic we are in certain dimensions, probably this is an opportunity to recoup and fill in such gaps with newer strategies and perspectives. And that would definitely, post-COVID period, we should come up with more effective learnings from this experience to realign with the new mode of educational, the policy which has come in also to align with that and make it inclusive to that process, to try and improve our learning levels on the children across the state, across the country. I think this is another important point I wanted to bring in. So taking, I think probably that is basic. I just want to bring in, and I only have one appeal to Save the Children. How this learning that you gain out of 100 days and plus 100 days, as rightly said repeatedly, will become a advocacy note where commissions like Telangana or Karnataka or any state and the National Commission including, we are all ready here to take that evidence-based data which can speak with authenticity. We are here to put it across and advocate firmly with the governments, and together we can take that challenge, and we are always here available, and that is our mandate, and we are here to make a difference for our children across the country. I think with these few words, I want to thank you, each one of you, for giving this opportunity, and look forward to the new opportunity to connect again. Thank you, Nagesh garu.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. And really inspiring on our action points. And thank you so much. We'll get back to you with our action plan, so that being in chairperson SCPCR, I think you can support us to take forward the agenda with the school education at state level. Thank you. And in the meantime, I think, I request Dr. Upendra Reddy garu to share some of the viewpoints based views shared by different experts from different states, so that I think we can compile those learnings. Sir, Upendra Reddy sir, please over to you, sir. Please, sir. Thank you. Upendra Reddy sir is currently, he was with head curriculum, CRT, and then now currently working with ASCII and advisor education. So sir is recently did a study in Chhattisgarh on the learning continuity, how district administration is the trying to reach the children through various methods. Sir, please share your thoughts and also some study findings from Chhattisgarh. Thank you so much, sir. Sir, you're on mute, sir. Sir, you're on mute.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Is it okay?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Nagesh. I'm very happy. I'm privileged also to share some of my ideas. I really focus on three things. The first thing is that the decentralization. Now you see, whatever the state government you take, entirely they only developing the entire material, whether it is digital and non-digital, and they are only preparing the plan. They are not engaging the local self-governments. They are not engaging the district governments also. So now, if you engage the this PRA institutions, Panchayat Raj, and there is a lot of volunteerism is there. So ultimately, you have to engage them. You have to give program to them, ask them to develop some sort of alternative pathways. But that is not taking place. It is not that your only education department or at state level only will develop everything, give a action plan. It is not like that. So decentralize it. Advocacy plays a very important role. What now this CRC Child-led Commission chairperson and everybody says. So give, because teachers also, they are also capable and they can also produce the material. Every school, let them have their own plan. And now the school headmasters, teachers, they can actually work with the local Panchayat Raj, Sarpanch and other ward members. And there are so many volunteers, graduates are there, intermediate degree, all are in the village only now. So if you actually just encourage them, and there will be a great volunteerism available in the village now. But we are not actually focusing on that. This is the important thing. Decentralize the program. Let you encourage this local administration, Panchayat Raj institutions, and they are very eager also. And something locally they can develop, they can engage the students evening 2 hours or something like that, 1 hour, 2 hours, something like that. Because textbooks and material already is there in the hands of the children. With that, parents actually, with the help of the ward Panchayat Raj members, they can actually take this program further. This is one thing. The second thing is that learning gap means it is not only your reading and writing, your science and mathematics. There are so many other learning needs. What actually Nipa Professor Madam Panda Madam actually, there are so many learning. Children need to play. Children need to actually talk with others. So children want to draw, and children want to develop some sort of art, craft material. This is also an education. Children want to listen the stories. So this is also various kind of activities which makes children interesting. Even in the online lessons also, you are go on bombarding information mode, maths, science and everything. Children no more stay and listen. And a very good video stories and what Ramesh says, that thematic concepts, thematic picture books actually. I'm very happy to listen from Save the Children. They are supplying some picture books. So if it is a thematic time, Children just listen, just observe the pictures and some small content, this text, and they themselves will understand that this promotes some sort of self-learning approaches. So, but we have done a recently a study at Chhattisgarh, and where actually the UNICEF actually met the district collectors, okay, to have some alternative path of education. So they actually encouraged the Gram Panchayat, and Gram Panchayats in turn took the help of the graduates and students higher education studying in higher education, and they themselves really in every village they are organizing their classes outside the school. They are not going to school. Okay, some sort of this volunteers veranda and some sort of some temple places, some gram panchayati places, 20 children, one single volunteer, and whatever the material UNICEF developed to given online to WhatsApp groups they were established. They are sending these video lessons, video stories, and audio video programs, and every volunteer is in the group and is opening that WhatsApp and actually understanding it, actually sharing some sort of support, because textbooks are already there. Textbook based support also they are giving like that. So not to try not to centralize the program. Okay, there is a lot of capacity is there among the in the villages now. So take some advocacy and encourage, and even there in the Chhattisgarh, district collectors play a vital role actually. So they actually, when they actually they conducted a meeting of sarpanches. The sarpanches very much motivated actually, and they engaged the Panchayat Raj department, these block developmental officers, Panchayat development officers. All panchayats are under their control actually. So like that they did well, and now and then this district commission going and actually encouraging them, and media also plays a very vital role in this regard. The success stories actually they published in there, and seeing one village after another village. Initially teachers are not inclined to this program. Once they have seen some teachers are engaged, and everybody is also start engaging, and they are developing their own video program, their own audios programs. So like this, so decentralize it and harness the potentiality in the villages at present. And so many gram panchayats came forward. They have given the this masks they have given, and everything like that they have given. And Red Cross also entered into this. They also supported in some way or the other way. So like this, action plan means decentralize it actually, okay, and use the print and non-print material also. But like this, you can actually take this program forward. Thank you. Play also, sports and games also they have actually encouraged non attached, non touching sports and games also. So children are very much interested to play these games and sports, and in a lot of way they are promoting drawing. And every center when we visited, and their display of small children are as doing excellent drawing and painting work. So very creatively children are being engaged. So this time of things it is better to encourage. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir, for sharing your experience. That is why actually we are talking about volunteerism in the this emergency situation for reaching children. And we also thought about each one teach two concept. We thought it is not materialized, and because for anything, no district administration or state department has to come forward to take some thoughts to reach the children. That's very, very important, because NGO or any civil society cannot reach all the children, but they can have maybe thoughts, maybe models, maybe best practices they can share. But reaching children, entire state, maybe entire, maybe wherever the very remote corners, it's very tough task. But that's what actually we are trying to meet the government departments, head of the departments, to share our thoughts. This current the discussion, these action points are also we're taking note of this, and we'll give a representation to the government to look at appropriate solutions for reaching children beyond education or beyond academics, to keep them children alive with psychosocial support, and also encouraging by children drawing, painting, whatever other activities, to keep their, I think, moral and their strength is alive forever. So thank you so much, sir. We'll get back to you, sir, with our maybe the consolidating the points. We'll come back to you, and I will also share some of the thoughts into our action points. So thank you very much, sir. Thank you. And and Rupali, I think time is, I think, up now. I reached out to Director Department of School Education. I think I think because of time, maybe I think beyond the hours, I think they are not responding. So what I'll do is now I request state leads Prashanti Garu from Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, and Dr. Samukanta, I think he's not there on the board, and NM Chandrasekhar Garu to share your maybe important takeaways from this seminar, from this discussion, to build our action points, action plans for maybe for future the roadmap. So I request Prashanti Garu to come on the board and speak your points from AP and Telangana point of view.
Nagesh, Soumya is also on board. So all three of
Yeah. So Prashanti Garu, then Dr. Soumya Kantaji, he'll share your thoughts. Then Chandrasekhar Garu. Over to you, Prashanti Garu.
Thanks, Nagesh Garu. I think a very good evening to all. It was a fantastic event, I must say. I think overall, the conversations from different people is very alarming, and at the same time, it is very evident from all these eminent speakers and as well as our beloved children, spelling out very, very clearly that education is being clearly missed out by the children across, and it is high point for all of us to work rigorously to ensure that children get this enough education during this stressful situation that they're undergoing. So from the state perspective, as Vikas and Nagesh Garu has already mentioned, Save the Children is always in the forefront to take care of these children, collaboratively with the education department and ensure that there is a lot of innovations to bring in, as many of our speakers mentioned, that it's important. We need to be thinking very innovatively. Either it is an online drive, you take it, you go it on a radio, you go it on a satellite channels, or what the means and ways that we have to figure out and ensure that we somehow reach to these remotest children as well, not just in the urban locations. Because it's all of us have spoke enough that it is very hard to touch the remotest locations. So, and it's very evident from the studies also that children are missing almost 10 to 14% of their learning curve, and it is very difficult to bring it back with the loss of these academic sessions. So we would be very happy to collaborate with the state education departments, both from Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, to evolve a practical and feasible methodologies and approaches that quickly can take up to reach the children, so that we are supportive both for the learning curve as well as for the recreation requirements of the children. So we have brought in a lot of innovations right now. We have been collaborated with PSAT for some of the classes to continue, and we try to provide the children with tablets, and in some places with the community radios. So we also are encouraging for the parent-child teaching methodology. So this particular action agenda that we have taken up today with the short videos, we are very positive and thinking that this will be a kind of a great opportunity for the children to access, continue their learning through these short videos as well. So I will stop it there, and we hope to see a better focus for the children education in the future. Thanks, Nagesh Garu. Over to you.
Thank you, Prashant Garu. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot. You have mentioned about some of our innovations already. We are already practicing maybe workbooks or maybe our tablets, and also our Byju's app in some areas. And of course, definitely we need to look at few more options shared by our expert panels. So definitely we'll call out and we will map those points, and we'll reach the government to take forward them, because that's very, very important agenda of this
Thanks,
workshop.
Nagesh Garu. I just missed that Byju's app. I think it's a brilliant opportunity for almost 500 plus children in the state of AP and Telangana. We try to reach through this Byju's app. And we were so happy to hear the stories of the children, that it really helped them, especially for the board exam preparing children and above 8th class children. I think teachers were very happy on this initiative. So, but yes, again, it's a kind of a challenge for the remotest children again. So we will definitely work on that. Yeah. Thanks, Nagesh Garu.
Thank
Nagesh Garu, you're on mute.
Yeah. Thank you, Prashanti Garu. Thank you so much. And now I request Dr. Soumya Kanta, Senior Manager, Odisha. Anyway, Prashanti Garu shared her thoughts from Andhra and Telangana, from Telugu states. I request Soumya Kanta ji to share about his way forward points for the state of Odisha. So, Soumya ji, Dr. Soumya ji.
Yes, yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you and welcome, Soumya ji, after maybe few days back.
Yeah.
In you. Thank you very much. Please, over to you. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Nagesh ji. And definitely, I must congratulate to the entire the team, that the organization is really taking this agenda in such a way, and really we are emphasizing the entire strengthening this pillar of this the rights that we are talking about, this education, which is really development of the children. And so far we are committed to ensure the rights of a child at every last child. We must reaching to them. And also we are taking ahead this agenda with beyond this discrimination and reaching to the children at hard to reach area as well. And so far this campaign is concerned, and I must congratulate to the team, because to me as well, because this is very important component. And as we are emphasizing the continuity of the learning in the every sphere, that we are talking about, that how parent should take seriously to on this agenda actually, and how the teachers must understand the gravity of this agenda. And yes, undoubtedly, how children could keep themselves engaged, and they remain engaged actually throughout this span of this critical juncture actually, with their education, with their innovation, with their skill development as well. So in looking into the entire component of this entire exercise, as we are talking about the strengthening of this pillar of the rights, the education and the development as well, in that way, definitely, but it's to me actually why I can understand. I must put the lens in that way actually. We are talking about, as rightly Katia was sharing, Madam Panda was sharing, and all the dignitaries, they are highlighting many things. And if we're taking entire things into the account actually in a totality, we can understand that definitely we must pinching and we must trying to focus the behavioral aspect in the community at the household level as well. How we can ensure that positive parenting, we are really looking in that the lens, that positive parenting how can contribute well for creating, for developing, and for providing an enabling environment to a child. So that positive parenting definitely is the biggest and highest weapon to utilize the parent's skill to listen a child, to attend a child. Then only this campaign will be in a bigger way actually, because this campaign is have such a noble thought that we don't want to lose a single child, that he or she must be away from the education. That very rightly, just before this session, our respected dignitary was sharing, not education is only putting the numbers and math and the science as well. We can educate the child in different component. As we have taken this component as a comprehensive package with 100 days of this targeting the time frame actually. That 100 days will be definitely our team members, we, our other stakeholders, and will ensure we will work with the community stakeholders, community gatekeepers, parents, particularly the senior member of the family, how they could create that kind of enabling environment with providing their attention, their listening skills to the children, and they're engaging themselves as a mentor, as a monitor, as a facilitator, as a cooperator. To a child, all these components definitely will take ahead this agenda, this 100 days agenda, in a comprehensive manner actually, to provide 360-degree approach to a child, so that a comprehensive package can bring a beautiful message and can bring that strengthening approach to taking ahead this education component and strengthening this entire services in the community. Actually, we are looking forward the learning from home, that component will definitely be success with our hard effort and our focused and meaningful thoughts into translating into action actually. That our thought must be translating into action, then only this campaign will be a success one, and this campaign will bring a beautiful and a bigger change with a larger impact for the society, for every child in the last village actually. So this is definitely, I proud to be the part of this campaign, and I must say that this campaign will be going to impact in a larger audience in the society actually. I am really grateful to this. Thank you so much, and we will taking ahead this agenda in a larger way. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Anand.
Thank you, Dr. Soumya Kantaji. Thank you so much. Brilliant thoughts which you have shared. Definitely, all these points really help us to strengthen our campaign and to reach government, to materialize certain, I think, thoughts to reach all the children. And now I request Chandrasekhara, who is heading Tamil Nadu and Karnataka. Over to you, Chandrasekhara. Yeah.
Thank you.
Chandra Garu. Yeah.
Yes.
Briefly, I'll tell Chandra. That's better.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Nagesh Garu, for facilitating this a very wonderful campaign which we are starting from today. I think we are starting it on a right day, because today is also a global day for parents, because we have to really relook at our role as a parents, especially when we are taking care of our children, not only in the field of education, but we need to really look at the children's overall development. If you as a parent, like normally we provide all the support to the children. We struggle for the children's education and their well-being, and for bringing them up as a good citizens of our country. That is a routine thing, but focusing more at this kind of a situation, it is most important. Are we really looking at the current situation and spending most of our time with the children, not only in the field of education, in the field of health and nutrition components? Are we really providing all comprehensive things which really require for overall development of the children's milestones? So looking at these things, definitely, like as the Save the Children organization, we have already initiated some of the pilots, which we are already doing for the last 6 months, 1 year, focusing more on home-based learning and involving the children's through their peer groups, and also encouraging parents to get involved in the entire process. So this actually should not stop, because we have to take it forward, as well as maybe through the partnership with the education department, the local stakeholders, the Department of Women and Child Welfare. I think we need to collectively really take it forward to address this issue, especially during this pandemic situation. I would like to recall some of the very important suggestions which are already shared by our speakers, as well as some of our colleagues. I think we need to really look at in all our interventions, which we are doing basically to have a trust between the parents and children. Like when we are talking about education or any well-being. So that will really provide lots of scope for mutual learning, as well as the children will have lots of protection in the form of psychosocial aspects or mental related issues which they are facing in the current scenario. Why these are all very important is, like if you look at the places where we are working, the children are not really getting the minimum facilities. So even in the normal situation, when children are facing these kind of issues, then think about the people with whom we are working, like waste speakers community, or even children who are who doesn't have any access to these online classes, or they may be struggling a lot to get into these kind of issues. So definitely we need to really focus on these components, so that we can ensure a complete overall development of the children, not only on education, as some of our speakers said, like we should focus on overall development, which covers like the academics, as well as psychosocial aspects, and the other issues which generally the children face, especially during this pandemic period. And as Madam Pranita Madam said, like we also need to really adopt multiple options for the children. Like we should not go with an agenda. Okay, this is you should practice. We should keep it open. Like which are the ways children can really learn, which is more suitable for them. So that kind of an environment really we need to build at the community level. And while working through all these issues, definitely we should even look at some of the issues like the security related, like cyber security. That is one of our speaker really pointed out very well. So while utilizing more the advanced options, we should also look at the limitations and other components in it. Like as we all know, like we have started one radio program, All India radio program, which really reach out to many children and families, which we are doing in one of our project, which we are implementing in Doddaballapur near Bangalore urban. So such kind of innovations, maybe we need to really take it to the more level, as well as have association with the concerned departments. And as suggested by all the eminent speakers, definitely we will incorporate their suggestions in our the 100 days campaign, and how we can sustain those things in partnership with the concerned departments. We will discuss and take it forward. Thank you so much, and over to Nagesh Garu.
Thank you very much, Chandrasekhar Garu. Thank you so much. And we'll take forward the agenda soon in all the states by compiling all the recommendations from the experts on the learning process with a very child friendly and learner friendly environment. Maybe beyond online, we need to work on offline. So because they are talking about workbooks, worksheets, and they may be learning beyond textbooks, beyond academics. There are so many thoughts have come up, and definitely the Karnataka model All India Radio, the presenting different episodes for ensuring home-based learning for 3 to 6 years children is one of the important milestone. And similarly in Odisha also, they're doing a lot of work on preschool education, even in this pandemic situation. So we'll compile all the thoughts and points to make our roadmap. And thank you very much, everyone. And now I request Rupali to talk about key takeaways from the this program, and definitely work out an agenda with all points, and to reach all government senior officials, if possible, maybe a department at national level and state level, to keep up our agenda alive, to I think to strengthen the momentum. Thank you, and I request Rupali to come forward to narrate the key points and proposing vote of thanks. Yeah, thank you. Please, Rupali, over to you.
Thank you, Nagesh. I really appreciate for facilitating a brilliant session today. It actually met our objective where we wanted to learn, listen from various stakeholders, decision makers, leaders, and most importantly, from our children and parents. So today, from this discussions, what is really emerging is that there is no ready-made solution to it. It's all about, like, we have to continue trying and looking at various possibilities in terms of identifying localized solutions involving local leaders, parents, Anganwadi workers, teachers, to ensure the learning continuity is there both for preschooler and the school children. And it is only possible when we continue trying various ways of identifying those solutions. And and today's discussions, bringing in parents and children, actually gave us some of the thoughts to relook at, where we can ensure that no matter schools are closed, but there are still many such opportunities where we can engage children with various situations where they can learn from it. Like and the campaign on 100 days of action is also facilitating the various steps where we are engaging children through storytelling, providing them age-appropriate learning kits, and also use the home-based resources where children can learn on various numeracy and literacy skills. So, from all the experts, what is also emerging is it's not just only learning continuity. At the same time, we also have to look at the mental health, mental well-being of children, parents, caretakers, and also establish an environment there is a healthier conversation happening, because all of us really are stuck within the four walls. So how do we create that space for each one of them? Children should not be feeling voiceless in this situation. They should not they should be given opportunities where they can also talk about their stress and have a dialogue and conversation going. Because when things are in a continuous basis, having a space for each family member in a family environment, then the solution is much more easier than to be only just adult taking decisions on behalf of the children. Now, for the digital divide, where we clearly mentioned that these certain things we can't really do anything. So what we maximum can do is to find ways, and it may vary from each state to another, but certainly we can try localized solutions to to bridge the divide and keep children engaged with learning environment. So overall, what we learned from each expert and the respective dignitaries, or not of course, right to education come in place as a top priority, but also other rights of the children to be ensured that they have that space where they can access to these rights. And at the end, when we listen to all our state leaders, how we are trying to make a best plan of action, which is highly flexible, and the plan which addresses both immediate needs of the children and also find a long-term solution to for the children to have a learning continuity and during pandemic and beyond. So these are some of the things that we learned from today's discussions. And what we are going to do next is we are going to collate all the important points that has come up from all our leaders. We are going to make a plan of action which will be very state specific and reach out to the authority, to the duty bearers, and see how we can work together to address these situations at the same time. Also take children along with us while working for the solutions for the children and their rights. So with this note, I would like to extend my gratitude to especially the Save the Children team, Vikas Bora, who has been the brain behind this, the session that we planned, the conversation that we have planned today, because this helped us to listen to all of you. Otherwise, in a virtual space, it's very rare that we all come together and find a common solutions over almost we are spending 3 hours, but this discussion has really given us a lot of scope and opportunities to think through and crystallize our plan of action. So thank you, Vikas. You have been a great support for bringing in such great resource people over here, and also bringing in the global perspective, because it is not just restricted in our country. So overall, this entire discussion, bringing in both global and the local issues together, helped a lot of us. We have been getting a lot of comments on YouTube as well. So we will definitely, there are some questions also asked. Certainly, we will come back to them and reply to those questions as well. Apart from, and my gratitude to Nagesh for ensuring all the good people over here, especially the most experienced people came today and discussed about various possibilities. Thank you for keeping this entire conversation solution oriented. That really helped all of us. Apart from that, we also extend our gratitude to Pranati Panda from UPA. Your 3-point agenda, certainly we are going to take it forward, and we will make sure that, as Save the Children always have been continuously trying to find ways where we are ensuring the rights of the children are met, whether it is in pandemic situations or any disasters. We will continue our trial and error, and with your support, we will certainly come up with some good solutions even to address on this educational need. We also extend our gratitude to all the professors who joined from from Mysore University. Dr. R. Sivappa gave us a lot of insight. And sir, today was just one opportunity where we discussed. Now the real action is going to start. So we will come back to you, and we would like to work on a long-term basis and strengthen our partnership with academics, and also help us to connect with some other academics, so that we as a common force, like Vikas mentioned, that when we are unified, it is very easy to address situations like this, and I'm sure we will be able to help and extend our support for whatever we can do from our end. So thank you, sir. Once again, we have all ACTs here, chairperson. In spite of, I know there were issues related, technical issues, because of that we could not get them on board at times, but yes, they managed to get to these discussions, and we are very closely working with you, sir. We will certainly continue doing that, and let's take all these action points forward with your support. And last but not the least, our children, really appreciate how you conceptualized all your your thoughts, how you shared, because it might be a challenges that you have shared, but for us it helps us to identify the solutions, because for us it was equally important to hear from you. So keep doing good work, and keep sharing your thoughts, ideas, not just only with us, but also family members, with your parents. That will help identifying home-based solutions, and it will help you to address your needs, be it education or any other rights of children. At the end, I would also extend my gratitude to all the state leaders, Ms. Prashanti Batina, Dr. Samikanta, and Mr. Chandrasekhara, for leading the states like Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, Odisha, and Karnataka and Tamil Nadu, because whatever consolidated feedback that we got, we have to make it state relevant, and we have to reach out to the state duty bearers and other stakeholders to ensure that we have a robust plan of action with proper milestones way ahead, and it will help us certainly to reach our goal. And 100 days of campaign, 100 days of actions to save our education, we have kick-started today, and I'm sure this journey is going to help all of us to connect children with learning environment. So with this note, thank you so very much, all of you, to be here. We have extended our time, but we could not cut short also, because the discussion was happening in such a way we wanted to hear from all of you. With this note, once again,
thank you, Rupali, and we extend our thanks to Dr. Upendra Reddy Garu and Dr. Ramesh Garu from Andhra Pradesh, and also the Lakshmi Dhar Behra from RIE Odisha, and one parent Saujanya Garu for sharing her the example of how children are really, how she engaged with the children for learning, and all members, and especially Pali, I appreciate, and I extend my thanks to you for, I think, making a good design for taking up this project, and also the Kamal madam, she's the backbone of the entire thing, and Vikasji, thank you so much, and over to you, Rupali, to close the meeting officially from your end. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So yes, officially we are closing this meeting.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Please be safe. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Wow.